Sometimes you're open for a reason. Thrown! Ring it up!
Welcome to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Kick it around the perimeter. Shot clock winding down. Manic fires. Bottom. What a smooth stroke from Brady Manic.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Nice little pin down curl. Ready call. Williams supplying the block.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Justin Moore working with Samuels. Carlton out on him, gets a step on him. Samuels, as White closes, he scores and one.
Here's David Smoak and Paul Catalina.
All right, here we go on this gorgeous Friday, at least where we are in Central Texas, and it looks like throughout most of the country. I know perhaps somewhere that you have an umbrella out or you're a little bit colder, but it is gorgeous today in Central Texas. And we are watching in our studio today. Paul Catalina, Craig is out today. We have Emery Winter, Armstrong Sims, Jack McKenzie, all here today. We're watching the end of the IMG Mount Verde game. And Keontae George has, I think, 21 points or so, and they're down to Mount Verde Academy is at the free throw line to take a 3-point lead, and we're bringing this up because there are studs throughout both of the. Juwan Howard's son is on one of these teams as well, and now IMG down 3 with the ball, under 20 seconds to go. We're going to show you a shot by Keontae George here momentarily, and the chance for Mount Verde's going to get the ball and foul on IMG, so it looks like they're going to be able to seal it. But here's a shot while we wait for the free throw. This is at the end of the first half. This is Baylor signing. He joined our show yesterday. Keontae George at the end of the first half. We got right here. I don't think there's audio, as Keontae George hit that three. Now, one of the things, if you on the board, if you saw this, and that is the three, one of the things about this is Baylor, Paul, as you know, really for the last 2 to 3 years, maybe longer, they have been stabbed by half-court shots, long shots at the end of the half, and so maybe that trend will change here in the next season.
I hope so. I can't wait to see this kid play here. I mean, you watch him, and look, these high school basketball tournaments like this are a little bit deceptive in that, it's kind of a bit like an all-star game. Nobody plays defense. There's not a lot of, passing and structured offense, but you get to see the unbelievable. And part of the reason that is because, you can inbound the ball to one guy and he can go coast to coast and score. So why complicate things?
Yeah. And again, this is the semifinals. Number 2 seed IMG with Keontae George. Number 3 seed Mount Verdi. There's stars from all over playing for these two teams. Against Keontae joined us on the show as well. Now, I've got really good news. We try to mention this as a family. We are, and we hope that we always will be. We may not agree. We might get into it. Well, that's just us. But I'm talking about our audience, you, the viewers and the listeners, and we love you. The 440, who has stayed in touch with me, his father had been struggling. We've told you about that. Steve Smoak up in Ohio. Stephen Smoak up in Ohio's father has struggled, and he's had to take care of him and help also support his mother in and out of some stays in the hospital. But I got this just a minute ago from the 440. Smokey, Paul, Craig, big news. My father is getting released tomorrow, and I have been named as well at the same time offensive coordinator from one of the local high schools up here. That's in the 440. And I asked him, I said, were you even looking for this job? And he said, no, I wasn't. My stepson graduates from there this year. I just volunteered to help next season with scouting. 62-57, Mount Verdi beats IMG. That's a final. But that's great news from the 440, whose father has been in and out of the hospital in recent days and weeks.
That is, and that's a couple of good things right in a row.
Absolutely good news as well. So, all right, we will take you until 6 o'clock. We're going to have Adam Lucas, who covers North Carolina. GoHeels.com at around 4:15 on Carolina and Duke. We'll have Matt Tate, covers KU, at 3:40. And then also Travis Reeder, who writes for Sikkim365.com, a college football, one of our analysts, will give us an idea. I said, I'd like you to come on and kind of tell, in your opinion, who needs or who will you think flourish with spring drills. So he'll join us today a little bit after 4 o'clock. Jared Sandler, who covers the Rangers pregame, postgame, and sometimes a part of the broadcast itself. He will join us today at 4:30. And Art Strickland covers the PGA Tour a little after 5 as we are on the eve of the week of the Masters at Augusta National. Paul Catalina today at 5:55 with his top 5. What's it about today, Paul?
It's kind of an all-encompassing top 5 about the Final Four.
Okay. Here might be, and I don't know how many of you saw this. You have cut-ins, reports. We have sometimes we'll go to somebody, a pregame or whatever, to get an update. Could be Colt, could be Grayson, could be Craig or Paul, could be me, whoever. And here is one of the best, most honest pregame show reactions. And you may have seen this because this has kind of gone viral. As it was right before a basketball game, and the sportscaster in studio was going to ask someone who's a part of the TV station to give them an update on an injury.
Before I let you go, Hastings, I saw Jermichael Green warming up behind you. Any word yet on if he's able to go tonight? I think he was questionable coming into this game.
I'll ask him. Where'd he go?
Yeah,
Hey,
he was on.
Hey, Jermichael, you playing? Nah, he's not playing. That's how you do it. I don't know why you got to wait for all these letters. I got to wait for all these letters and stuff to come out. Just ask the dude. He said he wasn't playing.
That's as honest, transparent, and real as it gets. Now, Jermichael could have been on the other side, so I don't know. So that was pretty cool that he was right there.
Well, I mean, and sometimes guys warm up and they don't play. So, I mean, you see him, you're like, oh, my gosh. People get excited. Look, I can't tell you how many times I saw tweets of, like, LJ Cryer.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
No, he's just out there trying to get loose or, especially at Kinjo, the couple weeks where he was injured, they just wanted him to get get out there and move. Like, oh, here's a Kinjo. Like, I don't think so, buddy. Not going to happen. But that's just the best way to do it. Here's another thing. I'll tell you a little media lesson. This is why you let media spend some time with the team, so that they can establish relationships. And it also leads you. Most people aren't out to get you. They're not. They just want to know the facts. And so that's the team announcer. He's comfortable enough with the players to turn around and ask him, and he says yes or no, and that's it.
I agree. And again, if you can develop relationships, and we've gotten not so much away from that, but we can't have as much or access sometimes post-game. It's all podium. And of course, there's a group now that after practices, we appreciate that access, but sometimes you can get a player off to the side. The one-on-ones, so to speak, are more difficult because of just the way things are as well. By the way, Mike Games is the one who brought up the note about his father, and that's great. Mike, the huge Kansas fan, by the way. So we appreciate Mike for jumping in on the chat room as well. Let's see who's already hit us on the chat room. Chris, Scotty, Paula, Mike, Lee, and we need a couple more of you. Mike goes, thanks, Smokey and Paul, for those kind words. And tough loss for Keontae, Scotty B, the Baylor King, and everyone else. Paula, Chris, happy Friday. We appreciate you for being a part so far of what we do today. Now, one note, we are approaching 17,000 subscribers on Sikkim 365 as far as our YouTube channel. We exploded back in the summer when Texas and Oklahoma decided, or at least Brent Zimmerman reported, that Texas and Oklahoma were planning on leaving the Big 12. And a lot of you, whether you're Brigham Young or UCF or Cincinnati or Houston or West Virginia, even others, Boise, Memphis, others, we are on the verge of getting to 17,000 subscribers. We'd love for you to spread the word and get us over that threshold as we continue onward and upward, as we also will have quite a bit with spring drills over the next few weeks as we hit that part of spring drills as well.
It'd be really great if one of you have 3,000 friends that would do anything you say.
Yeah, to get to 20 grand. Yeah, just put it out there. Feelers, we appreciate it. And sometimes just because you're not on the chat room, we know that doesn't mean you're not out there, and we appreciate you doing that as well on 365 Sports and also Sikkim 365 Radio. All right, now, so we've seen Keontae George. They were beaten, but what a run for him. Great young man. We've mentioned the pregame show about transparency, honesty, and that's as real as it gets. Tonight, the women's Final Four. Tomorrow, the men's Final Four. There is one football note, and Cole Barber had this note late last night. Brian Nance, who played football at Baylor, has been on their staff and has really been able to rise through the staff and be a part of the recruiting department. He is leaving Baylor to go to Texas Tech. Joey McGuire, the head coach. James Blanchard's there, among some others who have gone. And now Brian Nance, who I thought he cut his teeth. He went through some academic, I guess you say, hurdles, but I love the guy. And same thing with James Blanchard, but he's leaving Baylor and will move on to Texas Tech. Colt said that Baylor should have an announcement somewhat soon on who they will replace him with in that recruiting and personnel, not the personnel, but in the recruiting department.
Brian Nance is a guy who has an unbelievable work ethic, so I would not be surprised to see him be 5-7 years from now somebody's top recruiting assistant, because he is that kind of hard worker and relationship person. And
lost his scholarship or lost the ability. What did he? He's academically ineligible.
Yeah.
He drives in from, I think it's Temple. He's got a family. I hate to see him go, but if in fact there's a better opportunity for whatever reason it might be, whether it is money or an option or an opportunity or a position, then go, Brian Nance. Go live your dream.
I also think that it's also good to, even if he winds up back here at Baylor one day, to get out and get experience in different places, because then you can bring different knowledge or different things you wouldn't normally know back to the place you are, as opposed to you're being in the same place. To each their own, but I think that can be a good thing.
I agree. A couple of notes on the chat. Biscuits and Gravy. Following you guys on the chat in DFW, at DFW, waiting for a flight to New Orleans, which she thought, I would think, might have included Baylor in the Final Four. But, of course, that ended in Fort Worth against North Carolina.
It's never really a bad time to go.
No, you could just all of a sudden tomorrow say, I'm going to New Orleans. There's nothing wrong with that. From also Lee, other Big 12 schools stealing Baylor coaches. Left and right, imitation is the most sincere form of flattery, I guess. And you're right about that. Eric Nefrin. And I hope I said that last name right, Eric. I mentioned when we exploded on the YouTube channel from 2,700 to like 10,000, now closing in on 17,000. That's when we found you. Been watching ever since. Eric, we appreciate you as well. Let's see here. From Daniel. Glad for the good news, Mike, on his father. My mother recently diagnosed with breast cancer. I'm hoping for good news in my future as well. Daniel, thinking about your mother and also for you and others who are involved. From Chris, good news, Baylor player in the latest mock draft. The Steelers projected to take Petrie from Baylor in the third round.
I don't think he makes the third.
I don't know if he will or not, but, he had obviously Baylor had some players who we mentioned. We interviewed Jalen post pro day and then yesterday with Raleigh Tejada. Who knows what happens? And a lot of times you see, they can't get out of the first day, may not go. Who knows? We've seen drops and we've seen others who have surged up the ladder, and there's still time before that occurs. Also, women's Final Four, I mentioned that Louisville, South Carolina, UConn, and Stanford. The United States, Jack did not want to come on camera and or give us his knowledge. They are in Group B, Paul.
Yes.
World
Group
Cup.
B.
The draw came today, and they are in Group B with England.
Yes. That's, it would be, that's daunting. And I don't think we expect, the U.S. to make a long run, but it'd be nice to see them get a win, do something right, and build on that for when it comes to North America in 2026.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to act like I know what all that means. I do know this, that England is good when it comes to soccer, and they've won one of the, as Jack made sure he told me, one of the few countries that have ever won the World Cup.
Not as good as the English people would like them to be, though.
How about, no, really? Is that, no,
they haven't won since 1960,
absolutely.
so.
The one of the others that will be a part of that group will be either winner of the Wales or Scotland-Ukraine match. So that's, they haven't even filled out their group. So they have some play in, that's the first four in type stuff.
Yeah, Wales is very good. Very good, right, Jack? Yeah, Wales very good. You got to watch the Welsh. Sean Connery was Welsh.
I'm not good about, I'm pretty decent about flags. Is that Iran?
Yes.
Also in Group B. Thought I was right about that one. So that's that and the World Cup. One other local Baylor football note.
No, I'm sorry, he was Scottish. I'm sorry. My bad on Sean Connery.
It's Scottish?
Yeah. I said Sean Connery is Welsh.
No, I'm
Pierce
talking
Brosnan's
about that flag in the Group B, Iran.
But no, he said, I was saying Wales. And then
okay.
So you gotta
Chris Platt, who played a long time at Baylor, had some issues with injuries, was also a track athlete as well. He was released by the New Jersey Generals, released by them as they're making some release teams in the USFL as they head towards their opener that will be this month because today is April the 1st. We're going to hear from Adam Lucas in a minute. We weren't going to have him on, but Armstrong threw a fit. Started pouting because we had not had enough coverage this week about North Carolina, and so we'll have Adam Lucas here momentarily. Then Matt Tate will join us on Kansas. Everybody, how about that tournament? Think about the four teams. Villanova, Kansas, and then the nightcap, North Carolina and Duke as well. I can't wait. I can't wait to sit back, relax, and enjoy it as well. We're now joined by Adam Lucas, GoHeels.com. We've had Adam on before. Always appreciate his insight. Adam, it seemed like it was just yesterday when they had that game at Cameron, and we had you on the week after that. But how about these two teams, the collision course, North Carolina, Duke? What's it been like this week as far as the fan bases?
I think everybody's pretty stressed out, to be honest. Not the players necessarily, but certainly the fans. This just isn't something I don't think anybody really ever wanted to see. But now we're just a little bit over 24 hours from it happening.
So most people around the country that aren't fans of either Duke or North Carolina would assume this is a dream scenario. You get to beat your biggest rival for a chance to win the national championship or play in the national championship game. But from what you're saying, this is not any scenario that any Duke or UNC fan would ever have drawn up on their vision board.
I don't think so. I think because you might also lose to your biggest rival with a chance to play for the national championship and have to hear about it for the next 100 years. It's a game that hasn't happened in the past 60 or whatever of the NCAA tournament. Honestly, it is kind of surprising that it hasn't happened. I mean, these two teams have played in 38 Final Fours and never played each other. Really close, of course, in 1991, but that's as close as it's been. And it finally happened somehow.
You know, Adam, I'm going to bring a personal note into this. Back in the late 70s, Nebraska, Tom Osborne, in football were always elite, but they couldn't beat Oklahoma. And Barry Switzer, of course, and his teams were great, and national championship or two that decade. And then finally one year, Nebraska, like in 78, Billy Sims was the running back, a Heisman Trophy winner. Nebraska beat them. And then the bowl schedule came out, and you never see this. They matched them up together to play in the Orange Bowl, and Oklahoma won that game. And it was almost like it took away the taste of the game that was on Thanksgiving Day. Would that feel the same way if North Carolina doesn't beat Duke, or even worse?
I think it would be similar. I mean, I think the one difference being that was Mike Krzyzewski's last game at Cameron, and he's not going to get another one of those. So I think that's always going to be there. And I think it somewhat depends on what happens on Monday night. Whichever one of these teams advances, if they don't win the national championship, I think that takes a little bit of the sweetness off beating whichever one you beat on Saturday, because then all you did was you won the biggest game of the year, but then you lost the biggest game of the year 48 hours later. So there are a lot of variables in play this weekend in New Orleans.
How much of these two teams changed at all since the last time they played less than a month ago?
I think Carolina kind of gave us a window into what they were going to become in that game at Cameron, and they've been pretty similar since then. I think the big difference with Duke is Jeremy Roach. They had kind of said all year they didn't really have a point guard, and then it turned out they had one. They just had to play him. And he's made them better. He's been really good at getting to the basket, and that's something Carolina has not been good at stopping this year. So they're going to have to do a better job on that, and not just on stopping him, but on preventing him from pitching the ball out to A.J. Griffin and Paolo Banchero and all those shooters they've got standing out there around the three-point line. So he definitely gives their offense just a completely different dimension.
You know, you always hear about the bench, how much depth you have. Really, North Carolina, we know they go one deep, maybe two, and then Duke doesn't go much deeper. Is this just going to be basically who has the best starting five?
Well, if that's what it comes down to, Duke's going to win because they've got the best starting five, because they've got 5 or 6 NBA first-round draft picks sitting over there. I mean, they've got McDonald's All-Americans that they don't play. So I think it's not so much they don't have a bench, it's that they've chosen not to.
Right.
Carolina, as you said, Puff Johnson has gotten some play in the NCAA tournament. Dontrez Styles, of course, had the big few minutes against Baylor, but has been kind of inconsistent other than that. So I think if it's about pure talent, which honestly this has been the case all year, if it's about pure talent, Duke's got the most pure talent. And that's been the case now for several years. It's just a matter of if they put it together on the right weekend.
Do you think Duke will try to muck it up and get a game like Baylor had and get rough, or do you not change your style and just go?
I don't think that's them. I do think it'll be a physical game. I think it'll be interesting to see how it's called. I think Carolina would like to get Mark Williams in foul trouble. Duke would like to get Armando Bacot in foul trouble. I feel pretty sure Mike Krzyzewski spent this entire week telling Paolo Banchero, you somehow let Brady Manick guard you in the game at Cameron, and he hasn't guarded anybody all year. If you shoot a single 17-foot jump shot without driving the ball at him, you're in trouble. And so I would expect him to really take it hard at Manick and just see if he can either A, get him in foul trouble, or B, get some easy baskets.
So Hubert Davis and the job he has done. Here we have Jay Wright, Mike Krzyzewski, and also Bill Self. Two of them are all of them are in the Hall of Fame. And then you have Hubert Davis, who is already off to one hell of a start. How much and how many were still somewhat skeptical of him, maybe even a couple of months ago when North Carolina was almost in a position they were not going to make the tournament? Was there ever any doubt he was the man?
I don't think he ever had any doubt. But I certainly think, if you lose at home to Pittsburgh, then certainly there's some doubt because Pittsburgh is not a good team. And they made Carolina look bad that night. And it's been pretty remarkable what's happened since then. I think the national storyline is sort of turned into, well, Hubert Davis somehow magically did this by being positive and patting guys on the back, and he's Ted Lasso of basketball. But he's made some pretty good X's and O's adjustments, too. Carolina's not playing the same way they were back in January. They've added some wrinkles both offensively and defensively, and I don't think it's a coincidence that you don't see Dawson Garcia around anymore, because I think there's a pretty clear dividing line there between how Carolina played with him and how they've played without him.
Who among Carolina's team, the ones who play, who is the most maybe overlooked or underrated?
To me, it's R.J. Davis, although I know that's tough to say down your way because he was so good against Baylor. But I think most people nationally don't know him as well as they know, say, Armando Bacot or even Caleb Love. I think I could probably make the argument that R.J. might have had a better season than Caleb Love overall, but Love has definitely got more of a national name. R.J. Davis has done a bunch of or pretty much all of the ball handling since about late January, early February, and has basically been the point guard, but he's also capable, as you know, of getting 30 every once in a while. And the Tar Heels are going to need him to shoot the ball well because, honestly, other than that one game in the tournament, he really hasn't shot it well since the end of the regular season. Been dealing with a little bit of a hand injury, and Carolina's going to need some more consistency from the perimeter against Duke.
One more thing, Adam Lucas, again, is a great writer for GoHeels.com, covers North Carolina, has been with us on the show two or three times. If you were to guess, you have North Carolina, you have Kansas, two full-throttle Blue Bloods. Villanova recently has been one, the most recent if someone else is going to join. And then, of course, we know as well about Duke. Who will have the edge when it comes to the fans when you have those elite franchises, programs in the Final Four?
Yeah, that's a great question. Tickets are hot. They've been about as hot as they've ever been for Carolina in this recent Roy Williams plus era. So there's going to be a ton of Tar Heel fans there. We know people buy their Duke stuff at Walmarts all around the country, so there'll be plenty of those fans there. I think the next most I've seen has probably been Kansas. There's a lot of Kansas folks here. I think because they have the option of either being in Kansas or New Orleans in the last weekend in March, and they made the wise choice. And then I haven't honestly seen very many Villanova folks at all. But to them, it may just be old hat at this point. I mean, they've done it twice in the last 6 years already. So I think of the Final Fours I've been to, which is since 93, this is the hottest ticket I've seen for all the different storylines that you know about.
No question. Thank you, buddy. Have fun, Adam. We appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, guys.
Adam Lucas, GoHeels.com. Armstrong Sims is, of course, a Baylor graduate, but we know what he thinks of Coach K and Duke, and we know he's a North Carolina lifelong, right? Born and raised North Carolina fan, but he wanted Baylor. But it's not a bad option that if they're going to get knocked out by your lifelong favorite team. How nervous? Armstrong, we're ticking down now. We're about 25 hours or so from the tip of the first game, Kansas and Villanova. Are you any different inside that gut, inside the sleepless nights than you were perhaps when you finally realized these two teams were going to meet in New Orleans?
Yeah, it's getting pretty nerve-wracking.
So Adam Lucas is he right on that?
Absolutely.
That this is not something
not even with the win at Cameron, take that away. I don't think if you'd asked me, I would never want North Carolina and Duke to meet in the NCAA tournament ever.
Would that be because that means if it's that's because one of them would not be in the tournament, maybe you'd be happy because it's not Duke. This is crazy. They've been to that many of them.
Yeah.
And they've never met. They've never met in the Final Four. That's crazy. It's really almost hard to imagine.
Look, I can tell you personal experience. I mean, it was the year before I went to school there, but Florida State, or 2 years before I did, Florida State beat the brakes off of Florida, and then Nebraska lost to Texas, and they had to play Florida again, and
it's hard.
It was all that we'll see. And here's the bottom line was, and I think Florida State fans knew this that year, is that Florida was the better team, and it was all the coaching gumption that Bowden and staff could do, and they got And
that's the same thing I mentioned, Nebraska, Oklahoma.
And then Steve Spurrier spent a month talking about how Danny Werfel got hit late. He puts him in the shotgun after that. Florida State wasn't ready for it and got whipped in the Sugar Bowl.
Let's go back to North Carolina for a second, though. Armstrong, is this like, where would you rate your nervous energy on a scale of 1 to 10?
8.
8.
It'll be 10.
It'll be 10 plus?
It's Friday, so it's not even day of.
I kind of see you've been kind of a little bit, I don't know what the word is, you're just a little distant to us today.
Yeah, I'm very distant.
He told Emory to shut his dirty mouth earlier today. It was weird before you got
first of all, Emory doesn't cuss.
Lies.
You just seem like you're a little bit on edge today. I'm going to get under your skin.
When you walk in the door, I get on edge. But yeah, I am on edge.
Is this making it worse that I'm bringing it up, or is this helping you vent a little bit?
Well, one thing that helps is I was there in 2009 when North Carolina won the championship. I was at the game in 2016 when Villanova hit the buzzer beater. So I don't really think much can be worse than that. I was there in 2017 when North Carolina won. So it's not like, I have a little bit of experience, so it's not as bad. But
so this isn't like you waiting 20 years like Paul at Florida State had to do for in between national titles as a Nebraska fan. This is, you've had a few of these. This is not like your first chance to enjoy it.
And my team last year, the school I went to, won it all last year.
Yeah.
So this is now, North Carolina is now my second team. So that takes a little bit off it too.
I can imagine, though, as soon as you saw that thing happening, North Carolina, it took a while because they had to get through some good people, and Duke did too. Hell, they had to beat Tech. And then you could see that happen, and I bet it kind of almost starts bringing heartburn. Your face starts getting warm. My God, you got to play them again. Your example of Florida State, mine of Nebraska upsets Billy Sims in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And then they have to play them in a bowl game, and of course they weren't going to beat them.
Yeah, and it's hard to beat a team that's your rival at one time. I mean, the one time you have to play them, and then especially if you were the team that wasn't supposed to win the first time. UNC wasn't supposed to win in Cameron Indoor on Coach K Day. I mean, that was supposed to be the triumphant exit Duke orgy that it was, and they came in and ruined it. And so now Duke has to be a little fueled by that. They've probably thought all year that they've been better than UNC, especially given the way that the game went the first time they played them. They're mad about how it went down, and they let Coach K down that day. And so now here they are in the Final Four. So, yeah, if I'm a UNC fan, I'm white-knuckling this a little bit.
I agree, because you had such the perfect win at Cameron Indoor. And thought that was it.
Yeah.
And here comes the evil Coach Krzyzewski and Duke.
So evil. Hey, Scotty B says, just relax, Armstrong. So,
yeah, Scotty B, who is full throttle,
not gonna happen.
Who has his blood is like a Red Bull or Monster or Celsius, is which I've heard is a new one.
Chris asked in the chat room, by the way, he says orgy. Paul, where's your mind today?
Why did you say orgy?
What else was it? I mean, how else can I describe that? Give me a better word than what that was.
Well, there may be something better.
No, I mean, the way that was. I mean,
that silence.
I'm sorry I went to that part. We're going to hear from Matt Tate, who's really good at covering Kansas. We'll have that here in the next segment. Let's see here. North Carolina, Chris saying that just needs to rebound and play tough D to beat Duke.
Well, that's not what they do, though. I mean, they've been better lately, but that's not what they do because they only play five guys 98% of the game.
Who is on the better roll among the four teams in the tournament? Duke, Carolina, Villanova, or Kansas?
I got to say, I mean, North Carolina beat a 1 seed. Duke didn't have to.
And I don't always just look at maybe if they vaulted through their conference tournament. Duke lost in the championship game, Virginia Tech. Kansas won theirs against Texas Tech. Villanova, I don't even know if they won the Big East.
Kansas is because they won their conference championship, is on the longest roll of any of those teams. But
yeah. All right, when we come back, Matt Tate, he covers Kansas, will join us from the Lawrence Journal world. That's coming up. Also today, Travis Reeder at the 4 o'clock hour on who he thinks for Baylor football during spring drills will flourish the most with this set of practices that are going on right now. Sikkim, 365 Radio, 365 Sports.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street, a hidden gem. They always have something new going on at Riverbend Liquor and Wine. And you can check out Facebook and Instagram to see what it is, whether it's new product rolling in the door, a new craft beer, a new high-end bourbon, a new wine, a new vodka, a new seltzer, whatever it is. They always churn the roster. You're not going to walk in there and see the same things over and over again. But that doesn't mean that they don't have the classics, because they certainly do. So whether it's the classics, the new stuff, the fun stuff, they've got it. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Cars priced right both day and night. Average your car in Texas. Trucks built for you, red, white, and blue. Average your car in Texas. Cars that zoom with lots of room. Average your car in Texas. Count on us, a dealer to trust. Average your car in Waco, Texas.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Baylor Scott & White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott & White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
It's plain and simple. Waco Custom Marketplace is the one-stop shop for what you need for tailgating, from charcoal, cold beer, and wine. And, of course, customize your order with brisket, tri-tip, sausage, wings, smoked pork tenderloin, country-style or pork spare ribs, marinated beef and chicken fajita meat, ground beef and chili, meat, hot dogs, and burgers, buns, seasoning, sauces, chips. There's fresh baked bread and kolaches every day, breakfast sausage links. And you can also customize your favorite cut of steaks from select, choice, or prime, bacon wrap fillets, ribeyes, New York strips, sirloin, T-bone, and porterhouse. Full service butcher shop includes pork, poultry, beef, chicken, and seafood, serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Are you a Sikkim 365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at Sikkim365.com.
Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports. The top of the hour, we'll get into Baylor spring drills in football. Also at 4:30, the Rangers in Major League Baseball. They're about to start in a week. We're not joined by Matt Tate, Lawrence Journal World. He joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Matt, thank you. We've had you on many times. Always great insight for Kansas. Who would you say right now, among the four who are all obviously playing very well, is Kansas the most red hot of the four entering the Final Four?
Oh, that's a tough question. It's got to be KU or Duke. I think offensively, Duke's probably the answer. Duke seems like they've been on an absolute terror on the offensive end. Their defense is leaving a little to be desired and still hasn't really been anything to write home about or anything like that, whereas I think the Kansas defense has really improved and been a strength for them this postseason. But to say one over the other, I don't know if you can quite do that, but I do think obviously all four teams are hot. I mean, you could really make a case that North Carolina's as hot as anybody. The way they beat Baylor, as you guys know, really just propelled them to this new. It was almost like they, then became the one seed, right? They underachieved all year, and then they knock off Baylor, and then they're on that one seed path, and then they started playing with that swagger and that confidence of just like, we're Carolina and we're gonna kick everybody's butt, and they've done that. I mean, St. Peter's was an amazing story, an amazing team that was beating some of the best teams in college basketball when you look at Kentucky and Purdue especially, and then all of a sudden they show up with everything in the world to play for against Carolina, and it was never close. So I think all four teams are really hot, and I think Bill Self said yesterday that any one of these four can win this thing, and that's what makes this such a powerhouse Final Four, and of course the history and the tradition and just everything that goes into all four of those programs. But man, I've covered four of these, and this is definitely the coolest that I've seen it, just because of all the tradition with all four programs, and then you've got the Coach K storyline and all that stuff. I mean, it's been a long week, so we get to play basketball tomorrow, and by we I mean they, and I'm ready to watch.
Matt, if Kansas and Villanova gets into the 70s, would you say that means Kansas is probably going to win the game? But if Villanova can keep it in the 60s, then they have a reasonable shot to knock off the Jayhawks?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, what Jay Wright has talked about all week is just how impressed he is with KU in transition and their speed and what kind of challenge that presents for Villanova. So I don't know that he's going to go into the game trying to take that away entirely, but I do think they'll do some things to try to slow that down, and whether it works or not is another story. But I also think that their style, the way they play anyway, is sort of predisposed to be that type of game, and it's not like they're going to have to do anything out of the ordinary for them. They're just going to have to execute and play very well. So I think that benefits them. It's not like they have to go out there and change who they are just because, well, this team has to, or we match up with this team differently. We better do this or zig or zag or whatever. I don't think that's the case at all. I think they're going to be who they are, and Kansas is going to show up and try to be who it is. And whichever one can sort of assert their will on the other is probably going to have a really good chance. And when you look at it in those terms, you have to like KU's chances just because Villanova without Justin Moore, major loss, man. I mean, you hate to see that happen to any program at this time of year, especially for the young man himself. But that's a big, big loss. And they're lucky, I guess, in a sense that it happened in an Elite 8 game and not a Sweet 16 game, because to turn around Sweet 16 to Elite 8 and try to adjust and figure that out in one day would have been really challenging. They have at least had all week to get their heads around how they're going to play without him. And I'm sure they'll be ready. I mean, they've got talent and they've got next man up philosophy and all that stuff. But there's just, it'd be like taking Christian Brown off of this Kansas team. If Kansas was playing without him, you would have to say advantage whoever the opponent is. I mean, it's just that player, that type of presence on a roster, on a team, on the floor, all that is just, I mean, that's just so hard to overcome. So by no means do I think it's going to be easy for Kansas. I think Villanova is way too tough way too disciplined, way too experienced to just show up and be like, well, we have this built-in excuse. We'll take it. We're going to try hard, but boy, we probably just don't have it in the cards for it to be us. There's no way that's how they're going to think. They're going to think we should win this game, and they're going to find a way to do it. But again, I just think it's a huge advantage for Kansas that's a team they're matching up with without one of their best players, and then they were already sort of thin to begin with, and now they're even thinner. So, Kansas is going to want to push, play as fast as they can, but that's nothing new. They've been trying to do that for the last month and a half, and they've done it really well.
Matt, obviously they've had to be patient, and Remy Martin is paying off for right now, but how close was it where Bill Self was just kind of not fed up, but just did not know if he'd ever turn the corner? I know he was hurt at some point, but there still seemed like there was still something missing.
Yeah, he was hurt. He was hurt a long time, and I think it was really close. And not because Self didn't want to give him time, and not because Self didn't want him to come back, but because at some point you just have to cut bait. Like you can't go into the postseason preparing to play a guy that you haven't seen play in 2 months. And it didn't get to that, but if he wasn't able to come back when he did, they were getting really close to having no time to get him reacclimated and to get the chemistry back with his teammates and things like that. And as it was, it took a little time. I mean, they were on a pretty good run. I think they'd won 7 or 8 in a row before they came down to Waco, and that was actually Remy's first game back, and he didn't do much that night, but they lost. Yep. And by no means was anybody, myself included, saying, oh, Remy's back, they lost, there's the reason. It wasn't that. It had everything to do with Baylor that night. But it was sort of an underlying thing in that game, I think, where at least for me, it really made me look at that and go, oh, yeah, I guess they weren't used to those minutes going to that guy, and nobody's really used to what he does on the floor, and that includes him. So they kind of did that, readjustment on the fly, and really you have to give everybody involved a ton of credit. You give Remy credit, you give Self and his staff credit, you give the KU players credit. I mean, they have all made this thing work to the point where it has gotten them to New Orleans, and they wouldn't be here without it. There's no question about that. So it was close, because I think Self needed to see 3, 4, 5 games with Remy, at least available and as healthy as he could be before he was going to say, yeah, I'll trust that guy and play him in the tournament. I mean, that just wasn't going to happen if he didn't come back in time. So it was close, but man, it all lined up perfectly, and they ended up getting this late season addition, wild card, X factor, whatever you want to call him. And not only has that added to their team, not only has that made them a different team, but it's also made Kansas really hard to scout. And I wrote a whole story about this a couple weeks ago. I mean, there's just not a lot of film on what KU looks like with Remy. There's more now than there was, at the start of the tournament. But when you start this thing and you don't have but 8 to 10 minutes here and there of quote unquote good Remy on film, I don't know how you scout. I talked to a couple of coaches. I talked to McDermott at Creighton. I talked to Scott Drew, in fact, about it. I talked to the Texas Southern coach, a couple others, and almost across the board, they all said, well, we've seen Remy before. We know what he's capable of from his time at Arizona State. And while that is true, and he is still in many ways that same guy, he's not exactly that. And Kansas is a whole different story, and they're using him differently. And so, scout it that way at your own risk. I don't think that's the way to do it. I mean, if it was just a one-on-one game or a pickup game, maybe, but he's being used totally different than he was in the past, and that's been an advantage for Kansas too, because it's just really hard to prepare for.
Well, and he's not. It's not like he's broken into the starting lineup, and Bill Self still leaves him on the bench for longer periods of time than the guy who's the leading scorer normally would be, and they're able to just do that and navigate through these games. So it's been, I'm sure, even harder, because you're like, well, normally if a guy's as hot as he is, he'd be in the game longer, but that's not been the case necessarily.
Yeah, no, it's a testament to this whole team and how close they are and how much they want to win. I mean, I even asked Self earlier this week if he considered starting Remy because, like you said, he's been so hot. And he said, "No way, not even for a second." You know, he said, "Dewan Harris is our starting point guard, and we've won 32 games with him. So let's just not mess up what we have going right now." And you know, it's again, it's a real credit to the players and Dewan Harris specifically. I mean, this is a guy who could easily play 30 minutes and run the show, but he doesn't care. He wants to win, and he loves Remy, and they have a great bond. They have a great dynamic. I mean, this group for a group that's, you know, had to welcome some new pieces and new faces in, they really are really connected and really have a tight bond, and that's benefited them as much as anything. But yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, the way Bill is using Remy is a coach's dream, right? You've got another guy that you can trust and you feel good about starting, and he's got good chemistry with your other four out there, and he's such a smart player, and you can trust him and all that stuff. And then at the under 16 timeout, that first media timeout, 4, 5, 6 minutes into the game, you can get Remy up and you can say, "Go do your thing. Go be you, and bring some energy, bring some personality, bring some electricity." And he does it. And I mean, he's come in like clockwork in that spot in the same time of every game here lately. And I mean, he comes in and almost immediately, like within seconds, almost immediately makes an impact and gets the team on a whole other trajectory. I mean, they just catch momentum just from him simply being out there. So, you know, rotation and guys knowing roles and all those things are so important to get to this point. I mean, there's so many talented teams in the country. There's so many teams that could be here, but a lot of times it's the team that has that stuff locked up, where guys just know who they are, they know what they're expected to do, and they have a comfort within that. And this team has exactly that. I mean, Bill says it's basically a case of him having 7 starters. And, you know, he's counting Remy and he's counting Mitch Lightfoot as a 7th starter there. And, you know, you have 5 starters. We all know that. But that shows you how just important that 7-man rotation has been. And then after that, they've got a couple other guys that they can throw out there situationally or whatever they need. But, you know, for now, especially in the tournament with these long timeouts and all that stuff, that's been their team. And they've obviously done very well with that group. And now they're 2 wins away from a title, and they're going to be the 2 hardest wins they get all year.
So we know what North Carolina, Duke, and Kansas have historically. And then we know that Villanova recently, as much as anybody, has had success with what they've done. Your thoughts about if all 4 are in the building at one time, how do you rank the fan bases?
Oh, in terms of what? Just how much they bring it?
How much they bring it. I would think Villanova is passionate, but they probably don't have the numbers, obviously, as what Kansas, North Carolina, and Duke, even though Duke's a private school, you know, you wonder about if you were to rank the 4 fan bases, what would you say in order, 1 through 4?
Yeah, I don't want to cop out on you here. I don't want to say Duke, Carolina, and Kansas are equal, because I don't know that that's exactly true. But man, I'll tell you what, if it's not true, it's close.
Yep.
I would probably just, you know, Kansas fans travel so well. It's hard for me to rank them 1, though, because maybe I'm just too close to it. I understand it. I've seen it. It doesn't look overwhelming to me because I've seen it for so many years now. So I get the feeling that it's Duke that ranks number 1 by a hair. And then I think Kansas is probably 2. Carolina's right there at that same level or just a hair behind in 3, and then Villanova in 4. So, you know, gun to my head type of thing. That's how I would rank them. I'll tell you what would have been easier, though, if you put Kentucky in this mix.
Oh, yeah.
They're ranked number 1 because their fans are insane. So it would have been an easy choice then. And we see it. You know, we see that at the Champions Classic every year. It's KU, Duke, Kentucky, and Michigan State. And even though it's not the Final Four and their whole fan base doesn't sell out to come down and enjoy that, nothing like that, it's the opening game of the season, and it's usually in New York City or Chicago or somewhere cool, you know. So we get a taste of that, and it is always Kentucky. But Duke travels very well, and they're a national brand too. and Kansas is right there too. So it's I heard yesterday that it's 71,500 tickets pre-sold out here already. It's going to be the largest group to ever watch a Final Four. It's, I would imagine, going to be television rating records. You throw in the fact that it's Coach K's swan song, it just adds to it, and that's what's so cool about this Final Four. It's four crazy good programs that are playing great basketball, but there's so many more storylines than just, oh, these four good teams made it. Because you don't get Final Fours without four good teams.
Yep.
I mean, anybody that gets here is a good team year after year after year. So, the added stuff that's going on here, the added storyline, just remarkable stuff. And like I said, it's been a long week. I'm sure it's way longer for these players. I mean, you go 3 days in a row in the Big 12 tournament, and then you go back to back a couple of weekends with a day in between to have to sit here and wait for the biggest game of your life all week. It's got to be absolutely killing them. I'm sure they're taking the rest and enjoying that, but like I said, I'm tired of writing about it. I want to watch the game and see what happens, and really both games. So it's a cool thing because, after the last couple of years where the 2020 tournament got canceled and then last year, as great as that was, it was different. The fans weren't there. It wasn't the full pageantry of the tournament. And there were some fans, but obviously not the full house and everything. But everything's back this year, and it feels same as it ever was. So I think the fact that it's these four teams in that moment is really cool too.
Yeah, Smokey and I got to experience the Kentucky fans in Atlanta when did Baylor play them in the Elite Eight in 2012.
Sure. Oh, no, there's nothing
It was like there was one section of the Georgia Dome for Baylor, Xavier, and I can't remember who else was there.
Was it Creighton?
Yeah.
No,
Creighton was the week before.
Yeah.
But then, like, the rest of it was like Kentucky fans were like, this is just our spot. It was ridiculous.
Well, let me tell you a quick story about 2012 when KU was here last, and that was the last time it was here, in fact. And it was Kansas and Kentucky in the title game that year. And I don't care how long I live, I will never forget it. I was walking down Canal Street near Bourbon Street during the day, I think on arrival day or whatever, and Kentucky had just checked into their hotel. And they're right on the corner, right near Bourbon Street, and there's on the front, above the entrance, there's a little balcony. I don't know if it comes off of a ballroom or a dining room or if it's off of a suite or whatever it is. I don't know, but it's a little balcony that you can walk out onto. And John Calipari stepped out onto that balcony, and you'd have thought you were in Vatican City with the Pope. I mean, he was doing the slow wave to everybody, and they were down below just looking up, gazing at him, adoring, roaring. I mean, it was as cool a thing and as crazy a thing as I can ever remember seeing in terms of basketball fandom. So I don't even know if any of these four teams are staying at that hotel, but I know none of these four coaches jumped out on that balcony and got the Pope treatment.
Yeah, and that was Indiana, Paul, in Atlanta. How about that? Yeah. Kentucky, Indiana, which is 10 years ago when they were still, they're not quite another 10 years in their drought, but Xavier, Baylor, and Kentucky still dominated even with Indiana. Matt, I know you got to go. One more thing. We know KU and their history, the 3 national titles, 88 Danny Manning, and then, of course, the one with Bill Self as well. And they've been close. How critical, any national title, we know what it did for Baylor last year, but that was their first, and it made it even more special. But how important would it be for him to notch another one right now?
I think it's massive. I mean, he talked about it a little this week. He's never really one to talk about that because he is program. I mean, he'll be the first to tell you, and he said it on 100 different occasions that Kansas is bigger than any one person. The program, the history, the tradition, all that stuff. So Bill Self's the last guy that's going to make this about him. But I have thought, as long as I've known him, that the motivation of getting a second title is massive. I think it would validate him. I think it would make him, it would elevate him into that next tier, right? I mean, I think the belief is that anybody can win one, and a lot of guys have, but can you do it again? Because it's, as you guys know, it's so damn hard to win one that you cherish it, you embrace it, you enjoy every second of it. If you if it's all you get, you remember it for the rest of your days. But it's hard. And so if you can do that and then do it again, whether it's a year later or 10 years later, it doesn't matter. You can do it again. I think then you're in a totally different tier. So I think it'd be big for him. I think it's always fueled him. But I think a lot of that is just internal. I don't think he would ever talk about it. And in fact, he talked about it this week, just briefly, but he talked about how, look, this would be big for our program. And the reason is, you look around at the other three schools that are here, Villanova won 2 in 3 years, 2016 and 2018. North Carolina's won 3 in the time that Bill Self has been here. Duke's won a couple in the last 9 or 10 or 11 years, and so Kansas is sort of the ugly duckling here that hasn't been on that level, at least in Bill Self's time at Kansas. And so, he, in no uncertain terms, said, if we have as good a program as anybody, and maybe better than most, and that's really, you can't even debate that. And he would stand there and talk to you all day long about why Kansas is the best. But he said, but if we want to claim that, for every possible way and at every possible minute, we can't get further behind in these titles. We have to cut nets on Monday, and we have to do it again, and we have to do it again after that. And so, for the legacy of the program, for the brand that is Kansas basketball, I think this is big, and that's what he's focused on. And of course, that's what the players are focused on. But you know what? They want to win for themselves, and they want to win for him. And I think this team is it's as close a group as I remember seeing in a long time. And that's not to say they haven't had close teams. They have. This is just a different level, and I think it's largely because of not only the experience that they have and how much time some of these guys have been there and been with Self, but also just because of, man, what the sport and what the world has gone through the last couple of years. It's brought guys closer together, because there were times there you had nobody but you. I mean, in 2020, they were as good a team as there was. They were ready to be the number 1 overall seed heading into that tournament, and they didn't even get a chance to go play for it. A lot of these guys were there then, and they remember that. And that would suck. I mean, I'm not sure I would ever get over that, So they had to wake up on March 14th or whatever it was and go, well, I guess it's just you and me now. We've only got each other because we're not going to go have a chance to make a run. So let's get back to work and try to do it again next year. And so it took 2 years, but they're back here, and this is where they believe they should have been all along. And now they get a chance to, like I said, they get a chance to swing for the fences. And if they can win 2 more games, they're all of their lives will change, including Bill Self. Because, as you said, the one is good. And as I pointed out, anybody can do that. There's been a lot of guys do that. But if he can get that second one, his life will change too.
Matt, great stuff as always. Thanks. Enjoy the weekend. Thanks. Bring the Big 12 home a championship. We appreciate your time.
That's what he was talking about today. He even gave a shout out to Coach Drew for always banging the drum for the Big 12. So I think there's a lot of Big 12 people probably root for Kansas, and it'll be a hell of a show.
Matt Tate, Lawrence Journal-World, covers Kansas, is very, very insightful and also knowledgeable. And I thought that Bill Self question is important. They have been knocking on the door. He won it, of course, as we mentioned, in 2008. They've been to the Final Four since then, and 12 lost to Kentucky. 18 lost to Villanova. 22, that's where they are coming up this weekend.
Yeah. I mean, and I do think that the 2 teams that probably felt the most, and maybe Gonzaga a little bit because they were a good team, but the 2 teams that felt 2020 the most were Baylor and Kansas, because they were both playing really, really well down the stretch. And Kansas, but Baylor was a little banged up. I know that you asked Mark Vidal, any of those guys, COVID is the thing that derailed them from winning in 2020. But they were a little banged up, and Kansas was healthy. And that to me would have given Kansas the edge in 2020. But, I mean, they were kind of on a collision course then.
So tomorrow, what time do I come over to watch?
I mean, you'll be sitting in the living room with me while Amanda sits in a different room.
Amanda is a KU fan, and it's pretty.
It's intense.
It's, you think, edgy right now with Armstrong?
Oh,
this is on a level that is.
What I try to do on game days is we have the most fun we possibly can beforehand, so that way she she can look back on the day and go, that was a fun early part of the day. And then she gets real tense. Like, we'll be driving back from somewhere, and she's like, it's an hour and 45 minutes of the game. I'm tense. And I'm like, yeah, well, And so.
She's the one that barked at Jack?
She did bark at Jack. She did. Jack, I need you to stop talking.
All right.
Creighton went on a 6-0 run. Jack said something. And Amanda, you know what I'm talking about.
What? Jack didn't know this?
You didn't hear that at the game?
Oh, yeah. Okay,
Like, Jack, I need you to stop talking. Like,
wow. Oh, wow.
All right.
Well, so we've got, we focused in today on North Carolina and Kansas. Hope you've enjoyed throughout the year the coverage. Monday, of course, somebody's going to play. 2 teams are going to play for the national championship Monday in New Orleans, which is a great place to always be for a short little stint. We were there for the Sugar Bowl, had a great time. Baylor beat Ole Miss. When we come back, Travis Reeder, Sikkim365.com. He's a college football analyst. His thoughts about who among at various positions will probably or should flourish the most under the spring drills going on right now. Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports. We are approaching next Wednesday our second year, celebrating 2 years of this show. It's always a great story behind it. Might one day be a book. We've kind of shared some of those stories along the way, and we have had 13 what we call basically legacy sponsors from day one, and Ideal MRI is one of them. All of them are still a part of what we do, and of course, thank goodness, we've added many others along the way. IdealMRI.com. Before we even knew the name of the show, we didn't even know really the launch date of the show, but we mentioned we were going to have Sikkim 365 Radio, and Dr. Rob Maxey got in touch with me and said, we want to be not just involved, we want to be as involved as you need us to be. Title sponsor involved. Dr. Rob Maxey and IdealMRI.com can do a lot of things for you. First of all, they can help save you a ton of money. We'll get to that in a moment. But let's say you have something that hurts, a muscle, a ligament, or something that just doesn't feel right, and your doctor says we need to get a better look at an MRI. And so you tell him or her, your doctor, about Ideal MRI. They know Ideal MRI in the Central Texas marketplace, state-of-the-art technology MRI machine. I've been in it 3 different times. It's amazing. The staff specialists and all of those involved make it a very comfortable experience, and sometimes I've been a little bit spooked by the MRI machine because of space around me and maybe a little bit claustrophobic. I have never experienced that at Ideal MRI. And also, saving you money, the average is $1,100, and for $497 is every single time or less at IdealMRI.com. They're amazing people. The techs, the specialists, the doctors, those who read the MRI. Dr. Maxey one day called me after I had one and explained to me what he saw. That is customer service. That is professionalism. IdealMRI.com.
1, 2.
I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. He keeps me coming back. He cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy. Last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's tasty oak smoked barbecue.
Next in line.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
When we moved to Texas, we were like fish out of water. We didn't know anyone in our neighborhood until our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent came to the house. She was so helpful and reassuring, a friendly face with that Texan hospitality I'd heard about. When we purchased a Texas Farm Bureau insurance policy, we knew we were making the right choice. We knew our family would be protected.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Offset with Smith in the backfield on 2nd and goal. And instead, they come around with the tight end. Ben Sims takes it in.
This segment on Baylor Athletics on Sikkim 365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. Learn more at richardcarr.com. Here's David Smoak and Paul Catalina.
Hey, Craig's back on Monday. Right now in studio, Emery Armstrong, Jack, and Paul Catalina on set with me. David Smoak, Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Travis Reeder joins us, Sikkim365.com, college football writer, analyst, and breaks it all down pretty damn technically in many ways at the videos and what's going on. Travis, thanks for your time. There's a lot of players that can flourish right now. They get more reps, get better opportunities, the depth chart, whatever. In your opinion, what position group, and then we can get into that, but position group do you feel like will flourish the most because of spring drills for Baylor right now?
I think the answer has got to be wide receiver. I mean, they lose their top 3 targets from last year, and they have, I don't know the exact number, probably 6, 7, 8 guys right now who all legitimately going into spring and fall camp, think that they're vying for significant playing time at this point. And all of them are super talented. I mean, if you try to kind of create a tier list between the two, between all of them, as far as which you would rank as most athletically gifted and skilled and everything, I mean, you'd have a hard time kind of deciphering, differentiating a lot of them. So I think it's just a group that it's set for, all coaches talk about all offseason is wanting to create an atmosphere of competition, right? It's dog eat dog. And I think this spring is going to be a real opportunity for these guys to say, hey, we're all on kind of equal footing right now. There's tons of reps to be had, time for me to go get it.
Travis, I'm kind of waiting with bated breath to see an actual depth chart when they release it, because I think we don't really have an idea of how they feel about specific guys yet.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I'd caution you on there is that some staff seem to care more than others about rosters and depth charts and everything else. And it seems like Aranda's staff seems to care a little bit less about making it, most up-to-date and accurate. I think throughout the season last year, it was like they would have guys starting when they hadn't played in 3 or 4 games because they were injured. I mean, but yeah, I mean, that doesn't stop all us fans and, people who care about the team from actually trying to dig deep and find something out. But, yeah, I mean, I think what's always interesting about spring ball is when you see guys move positions. one thing I've been kind of clamoring for all season was to at least try out Christian Morgan at the star position, which is the position that Jalen Petrie played last year. Thought he'd be a great fit there. And it looks like that's what they're doing right now. But, yeah, it'll be another thing to see it on an actual depth chart. It'll be pretty cool to see.
So who is going to be more difficult to replace, Jalen Petrie or Terrell Bernard?
That's a tough question. I think the answer is Terrell Bernard. Not necessarily because he was a better player than Petrie. I mean, kind of trying to figure out which one of those guys is better. I mean, if you absolutely forced him, you could say Petrie was a more impressive overall player. But the inside linebacker, which is the position that Terrell Bernard played, is probably one of the most difficult positions to play in all of football, and especially college football, mostly because it just is a position that requires so much instinct. It takes a lot of reps. And one reason that a guy like Terrell Bernard was so good at that position was he played it in high school. He played it down there in LaPorte and already had I want to say he had something like 170 tackles his senior year or something like that. I mean, it's just a position that he had already had a ton of experience with, and he was able to kind of parlay that experience into playing early at Baylor. And then when you play early, by the time he was a senior, I mean, all of those instances of him just kind of diagnosing plays before the play even started, all of that is game reps. And so I think no matter kind of who replaces him this year, no matter who it is, they're not going to have as much experience as him. They might be more, they're basically almost guaranteed to be more athletic than he was. He wasn't the most athletic of all guys. But you can't replace experience. And, a lot of that goes for Jalen as well, Jalen Petrie's position. But I think that the position that Bernard played, that inside backer, just requires a little bit more experience on a down-to-down basis. And so whoever replaces him there is going to, I think, have a little bit tougher time kind of acclimating. But hopefully by the end of the season, they'll be caught up to speed and be playing well.
Travis, I guess historically we never really know the moment in which Jeff Grimes and the offensive staff decided to move Abram Smith back over to running back from linebacker, and because he was the guy who could do what they needed in the zone. But to me, it kind of sits in the back of my head that if they felt good about the guys that they had on the roster doing that, then maybe Abram Smith would have still been a linebacker. But when you look at the running backs now, Tay McWilliams was there last year. Jordan Jenkins is a true freshman, and now they've moved Josh Fleeks over in addition to, what else you want to throw in there. But does it concern you a little bit that, given that history, that maybe these guys are not wide zone running backs?
I think they have three guys clearly who are ready to play this year that are zone backs. In Tay McWilliams, Jordan Jenkins, and Squirrel Williams. I feel really good about the running back room this year if everyone stays healthy. My concern really is more the depth. They have one true freshman coming in, Richard Reese, who's basically like the same size as Squirrel. So probably not a guy you want to hang your hat on as a true freshman to play much. And so I wouldn't be surprised if after spring, when you might see some more guys transferring throughout college football, if they look to pick up a guy who maybe isn't, a former 4- or 5-star recruit that's going to get, become the instant starter. But I wouldn't be surprised if they pick up somebody just to give them a little bit more depth. I think Josh Fleeks has a ton of potential position. I didn't list him with those previous three guys, but he has all the athletic ability in the world. And one thing I really like about this move is that he's going into his last year of college, and his career so far has kind of gone in fits and spurts where he's seen some success for a few games at a time, and then he's been injured or fallen out of the rotation. And I think when you move guys late in their career like this, it becomes kind of like a one last shot type thing where it really can kind of focus all of their energy and concentration in one direction. And Baylor's running back coach, Juice Johnson, is, seems like a really good motivator and like a guy who kind of takes his guys under his wing and pushes them forward. He managed to do that with Treston Ebner, who wasn't very good pure running back for most of his Baylor career, but by the end of last season, he became a much better actual runner. I wouldn't be surprised to see if Fleeks is able to be a really valuable piece of the room going forward. But yeah, overall, like you said, I think depth is the main concern, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them add somebody after spring.
Travis, this is a team with Dave Aranda, obviously with Coach Roberts and what he does as well. Is there that last year's what they did to Ole Miss in the bowl game, and obviously 19's defense was a different type, but they were amazing as well. This defensive line is loaded. the cornerback room has been depleted because of graduation, some guys that might play in the NFL and some who had a lot of starts. But I saw a note from you that you think this quarterback group might actually be better than people think, the ones that right now that we think will play. Walcott obviously had a big year. Milton, and I'm going blank all of a sudden. But you
it's
think,
a young room.
Yeah, it's a young, but you really, you kind of, you're high on them, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. And part of it is too, A, I think the guys are really good at the got. And B, I think just kind of the scheme for Aranda, corner is a tough position to play. It's a position you'll see guys play early in college because in some sense it's very simple, like, just play man coverage, right? But it's one of those where it's like, easy to pick up but hard to master kind of deal. And I think you'll see that these guys, as they've been in the system for 2 or 3 years now, start to pick it up. And I think it's just a position that, if you follow recruiting closely, if you follow the signing days and you follow the guys that Baylor's been signing over these last 2 or 3 years, it's really a position that I think arguably might be the most talented on the team. When you look at just guys who have the measurables and size to play in the NFL, Mark Milton, Al Walcott are a really solid starting duo, but they've got 3 or 4 guys right behind them that are all young, that all of them, if they went to the NFL Combine right now, would look the part and run the part. Chateau Reed, AJ McCarty out of Brownwood. Y'all might remember when Baylor signed him a couple of years ago. He was kind of a two-way player, played 3 or 4 sports in high school. But he's a kid that you always knew that after he stuck to the position for a couple of years, he'd really start to thrive. I think you might see him do that. Kevin Williams, I think, broke the 100-meter state record in Oklahoma.
Yep.
Baylor managed to pull him out of Stillwater. He's 6'1", and obviously fast as hell. And then Chateau Reed is another kid who kind of flew under the radar. He's also from Oklahoma. He's from Lawton. Another kid, 6'1", 6'2", can run like the wind. And so it's just kind of one of those deals where I trust that talent's going to win out. They've got a really solid starting duo in Walcott and Milton that I feel good about. And then you just got to say, hey, look, if just one of these young kids hits, then that's the top 3 rotation that you've got to feel really good about.
All right, Paul, anything else? All right, Travis, we will get into much more. The quarterback competition got a lot of attention going in because of what Chapin did when Gary went down. Then Gary came back and played in the Sugar Bowl with Baylor winning as well. You are, no question, I know you're all in on Gary Bohannon. How much, though, will this competition at least push either one of them to even higher levels of precision and efficiency?
Well, I think it's got to, right? I mean, I think, I don't know. I hate how people get kind of lumped into camps, but it's just kind of camps is in favoring one player or the other. It's not like I'm against Chapin. I just think that what Gary showed us last year is really underrated by a lot of fans. And I'll explain why. I mean, I think what a lot of fans might not understand about what Gary Bohannon and the Baylor offense did last year, which was so special. I mean, they were god awful in 2020. I think if you look at any advanced metric, Baylor was, at best in the 90s, and a lot of metrics had them below 100 in pretty much every metric on offense. And they went from that. They went from the dysfunction. They went from the whole staff offensively essentially leaving into a totally new system, which was basically a total 180 from what they had previously been doing. And what you saw Baylor do last year on offense is they said, look, we're not going to try and install a bunch of stuff. We're just going to install a few plays, and we're going to master them. And I think what some fans have been frustrated with Gary last year is that he looked really good the first half of the year and kind of tailed off towards the year. Obviously, some of that had to do with injury. But I think a lot of that had to do with Baylor kind of deciding, I think you can kind of tell towards the end of the year that they didn't have too many passing concepts installed. And so I think this spring what you'll see is that as the offense kind of continues to be installed further, and particularly the passing game, that we might see levels of quarterback play, whether it is Gary or with Chapin, but just kind of an elevated level of play. And to get back to your question more specifically, I mean, like I said, competition can't hurt. And it can't hurt that Chapin put some skins on the wall there at the end of the year. I've just kind of been a believer in Gary, and I think he's an NFL quarterback if all things go well this year. So I'm looking forward to that. But either way, whoever comes out on top is definitely going to be a good player. I think they've both shown that.
Travis, great to have you on, man. Appreciate it very much. Travis Reeder, Sikkim365.com football analyst, and he breaks it down. You look at what we have with this site, and like today alone, Colts firing away on the story with Brian Nance leaving the Baylor staff as far as in recruiting to go join Joey McGuire at Tech. And then you see what Grayson's all over Josh White, who's apparently visiting Baylor this week. He's the young man from LSU that hit the transfer portal. And then all the other things with visitors for the scrimmage and this and that. And then Travis, Sam Bradshaw, Football Bob, when they break down particular film and whatever else they do, it's pretty amazing. This Sikkim365.com as we continue to grow. This is the radio show, the TV show, all what you want to call it. And when we got the incredible staff behind the scenes, it's amazing. And as we continue to grow, and we are just starting, just year 2 with the show starting on Wednesday, April the 6th. We start our 3rd year of Sikkim 365 Radio. Back in a moment. Waco Custom Marketplace. I earlier today went to the deep freeze I have, the back deck, pulled out a bone-in ribeye, put it in the refrigerator, let it sit there all throughout the day and tomorrow, all throughout the night tomorrow. I'm going to cook that baby, and it's going to be good, and I can't wait. And it is delicious because all of what you get, the beef or any product at Waco Custom Marketplace is elite. They have a full-fledged butcher shop and bakery, the bakery with fresh baked bread and kolaches every day and all sorts of other sweets and treats. And then the butcher shop, seafood, pork, poultry, and, of course, beef. They have sourdough brew bread. They have that available now. They're adding a couple of new items. And, of course, if you did order live crawfish, the 30-pound sacks at $3.75 a pound this week, you picked that up. In fact, you're starting to pick it up right now or tomorrow. You order live crawfish, 30-pound sacks by Wednesday at 6. You can pick it up anytime after Friday at 4 or on Saturday. And they've had specials throughout the week. Top sirloin steaks for $5.99 a pound. That's still going on today and tomorrow. T-bone steak, $7.99 a pound. Porterhouse at $8.49 a pound. And they also have specials on chicken tenders and pork steaks. And the $100 steak box, by the way, for $90. And they have the spray cans of duck fat. All of what you need. It's also with cold beer and wine. Waco Custom Marketplace at 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street in Waco is a hidden gem. They've got a great selection of spirits, wine, and the most extensive selection of craft beer in Waco in their gorgeous walk-in fridge. And they have an amazing array of high-end bourbons like Pinhook, Weller, Buffalo Trace, Brush Creek, Hotel, Garrison Brothers, Thomas S. Moore, Hooten Young, and Bardstown. Great customer service and a convenient and speedy drive-through window. Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Did you know that Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness is a partner of the City of Waco? Did you know that we are open to the public? Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers day passes to the public for only $10 a day, and we offer money-saving memberships. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers over 40 group exercise classes each week, including bar, yoga, boot camp, indoor cycling, and more. There are free weights, weight machines, TRX, rowing machines, stationary bikes, new treadmills, elliptical machines, and much more on the spacious weight room floor. Personal training available where you can be encouraged to grow. Sauna, whirlpool, tanning bed, and kids club. 17 tennis courts, 8 pickleball courts, youth and adult tennis and pickleball lessons. Waco's premier experience where you can help your mind, body, and soul. Visit our website at wacotennis.com. Call us at 254-753-7675 or visit us next to Hawaiian Falls on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Brad Boozer, Boozer's Jeweler, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive. It's a staple of the Waco economy. And you're about to approach this time of the year where you have the holidays, special gifts. It's not that you don't have that every single day. What are some of the things you have coming up?
You know, we kind of call ourselves the wedding ring store. We do all of our own custom work in-house. I've got 2 expert jewelers on staff every day. We can make anything from scratch. We kind of pride ourselves, probably 9 out of 10 every engagement ring we do is actually made custom to what the customer wants.
People look at that, oh my God, I can't afford it. I can't afford something like that. You've shown me examples that you could fit pretty much any budget.
It doesn't cost any more to custom make something. You still have gold, you still have diamonds, and you still have labor. Best thing about a custom piece is if you have any old jewelry or heirloom jewelry or something passed down from a grandma or somebody, we can take that jewelry and use it towards your wedding ring for the sentimental value, and then you've got the product, and then it's just a little bit of labor and a little bit of design on your part of what you actually want.
You want to know why they're successful? Brad Boozer, the owner of Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air in Waco.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
You know, you get to know people as they, when they were young.
Still young.
Yeah, no, I meant as a prospect, and then you get Jared Sandler. We've watched his career explode right in front of our eyes, and it never would have had he not appeared on our show a few years back. Works for 105.3 The Fan. Rangers, pregame, postgame, in-game. I keep embellishing how you rose up the ladder in your career, and it's all because of us. But what the hell, right?
I mean, I don't know that that's inaccurate. Because when I first moved back to Dallas, I think it was Landry Locker who told me about your chili, right? Like at Cowboys training camp. Am I right on this?
Yeah.
And this David Smoak guy, just this great chili or whatever. And I followed you, but then I think I got the confidence boost I needed the very first time you asked me to be on your show. I was like, I still haven't ever gotten to chili. But I think when I got acceptance from you, that allowed me to take my game to the next level.
Thank you for just doing a promo for this show, by the way. Jared, this is a very serious question. It sounds flippant. I don't mean to be. Why? This seems to be the first time that this franchise, the Rangers franchise, has a pulse in a long time. Am I right?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that, first of all, last year, I don't think it was fun for anyone involved. And even though, 2016 was the last playoff year, and they really haven't been super competitive since then, but there have been a couple years, like 2019, they were sort of in the mix around the All-Star break. In 2017, I think they surprised some people early on. So it wasn't like, just total not a factor from day one. But, 2020, they made it very clear in the middle of the year that this was going to be a rebuild. They were beginning that process. I think it was about 32 games into that 60-game season. And then, we knew at this time last year that it was going to be 162 games of a rebuild, which, it could mean a lot of things. But for a fan, that's usually not, top-notch level entertainment or engagement. And then this offseason, they took some major strides to make this team interesting again and take steps forward towards competing. So I actually had this conversation with someone earlier today who said, hey, I kind of turned my baseball brain off for the last 5 years, and I'm trying to turn it back on, but I need to be caught up a little bit. And I get it. It's a long season. It's tough to be committed to such a long season when the team hasn't performed well. But I think that, to your point, I think the arrow has turned, and we're starting to head in the right direction.
Well, Jared, I mean, when you go and spend the kind of money they did just on two guys really exciting, Marcus Semien and of course, Corey Seager, people are going to be pumped up. But around them, do you feel like they've made strides? I know that third base and the outfield are still kind of big questions, but do you feel that the lineup that they're going to put around Marcus Semien and Corey Seager can help those guys be the stars that they are?
Yes, and I'd also start by saying this. I think those guys will make everyone else better. And I kind of think that this really connected with me. I hate to admit this, but it connected with me with the Astros a few years ago when we can all opine as to why they made this change. But 2016, I thought that they were going to win the World Series. That was the year the Rangers actually ended up with the best record in the American League. The Astros got off to a terribly slow start that year and just never quite put it together. They went on and won the World Series the very next year. And statistically, there are a lot of differences. The one that was most stark was they went from striking out more than anyone else in baseball to putting the ball in play more than anyone else in baseball. And what changed? Well, we can all make jokes and comments about, some illegal stuff, and that's fine. But they also added some people to their lineup. And then George Springer, who returned, made a big change in his approach. And all of a sudden, they became incredibly difficult to pitch to because their best hitters were difficult to pitch to. And it really made it a lot easier for their other hitters because now the pitcher just can't take his foot off the pedal. And unfortunately, the Rangers, their lineup the last few years, the identity has been such that their best hitters really haven't been tough to pitch to. They're not bad hitters, but they're not guys you look at and say, man, I just don't know where the holes are. As a matter of fact, as I had someone tell me a few years ago, the toughest person to pitch to on the Rangers was Rougned Odor, just because they never had any clue what he was actually thinking. Like, he had such a non-plan that it actually in some ways at times made it difficult. Whereas with Joey Gallo, he was really good, but they knew how to attack him, and it was just a matter of executing. Corey Seager and Marcus Semien are not easy at bats. They are going to be tough for opposing pitchers, and it also then puts everyone else in a different place. Now, Nate Lowe and Adolis Garcia aren't your two best hitters, and they are going to, as long as Adolis can make adjustments and whatnot, they'll look a lot better when they're not your first or second best hitter. I mean, heck, with Mitch Garver, they could be your, fourth and fifth best hitters. So this thing's headed in the right direction. The lineup is going to be a lot more of a challenge for opposing pitchers. Is it the best lineup in the American League? No, it's not. But is it a top 5 lineup in the American League? It should be, probably. And then they still, Paul, I think you mentioned, they still have other holes to fill up, both on the mound and in the field or at the plate. Some of those will be done internally. Some of them need to be done internally because you can't just buy an entire starting lineup. But they also have plenty of money to spend next offseason. And I think they will continue to do that to put together a team that I think by next year at this time, we're going to talk about, if things go right, we're going to talk about if this team next year is a team that Vegas might kind of have as a favorite to make the playoffs. Maybe not win the division, but with the expanded playoffs, maybe even make the playoffs.
What's it like to have what is a guy who has been a real opening day starter in John Gray?
Well, it's great. I'm really excited. I know whenever we assess Colorado Rocky players, be it pitchers or hitters, we look at the home road splits. And I think that does tell a story, but I think that's a little misleading because what doesn't get talked about is how difficult it is for both Rockies pitchers and hitters to constantly go back and forth from and away from the altitude. For pitchers, it makes it incredibly difficult to get consistency. And sometimes you're throwing your pre-start bullpen in altitude and then going on the road to make your start. And you can look at the home road splits, but really these guys, hitters and pitchers, tend to thrive because of the consistency they get when they're not playing 81 games at Coors Field and constantly, entering and exiting that environment. And so I'm excited to see what steps John Gray takes. The rest of the rotation is a question mark. And I think some of that's by design because you're not going to you're not going to turn a 100-loss team into a 100-win team over one off season. And I think it's always good if you're going to give out these big-time contracts to stagger them. You don't want all of them coming in one off season. And then the other thing is the Rangers have a lot of internal options to fill out their rotation. Guys who have gotten a little bit of major league experience like A.J. Alexy and Glenn Otto and Spencer Howard. And then, of course, I think the organization is super fired up about the guys who haven't yet pitched in the big league, like Jack Leiter and Cole Winn and Owen White, just to name a few. Not all of those guys are going to be a part of the rotation in 3 years, but I think you'd like to believe two of those guys at least will be. And so I think the Rangers want to use this year to continue to learn more about the guys they have at the big league level and below, and then use that to give them a roadmap as to how to proceed next offseason, or maybe even at the trade deadline this year to make moves, not just for this year, but for the future. So the rotation has the most question marks. It is on paper probably the weakest unit that this team has. But I think, again, it's by design so that the Rangers have opportunities for guys to show them what they are, who they are, or who they are not, so they know how to proceed moving forward.
Josh Young was supposed to be ready to go this year. I think everybody was expecting to see him, and in not for service time theatrics or anything that teams try to pull, but I think everybody expected him to be the third baseman the majority of the year, and we're probably not going to see him. Jared, that was the position, third base, though, that I'm kind of surprised that they didn't go out, or they haven't yet gone out and taken a flyer on a veteran who's maybe a little more solid than Andy Ibanez.
Yeah, so, and I think the reason why is they've got to figure out with Andy Ibanez what they have. And I don't know that if you were to give truth serum to, the top level executives in the front office, that they would say, hey, we're confident Andy Ibanez is the third baseman of the future. But, he's been in the organization for like 8 years. He did have a really nice 2-month stretch last year. And he might not be an everyday third baseman, but I think giving him everyday bats will allow you to know what he is and who he is. Maybe he's your 10th guy. Maybe he's, a depth piece that is a really good bat off the bench or someone to start against lefties. But I think they want to give him the opportunity over the first couple months to figure out what that is. Now, you're right. That opportunity would not have existed if Josh Young was healthy. So it's not like this was all a part of their plan all along. I think Andy Ibanez probably would have been a platoon player in left field. But I think the other reason why they didn't want to overcommit at third is they've got a number of infield prospects who I think very well could get major league playing time this year. And that third base now becomes a position you can utilize for that. Whereas if you go and sign some third baseman to like a 3-year deal. Well, now you're probably not using that position to figure out what you have in Josh Smith or Davis Wenzel or Ezekiel Duran. All three guys who very well could earn major league at bats this year. And I'll tell you guys, Josh Smith, who's one of the players the Rangers got in the Gallo deal, was the most impressive single player I think in Cactus League games for the Rangers this year. I mean, it was he stood out, and it wasn't just in the games. It was in workouts, all that stuff. It was really impressive. Now, could they have gone and signed an Asdrubal Cabrera type like they did a few years ago, who it's a 1-year deal, you can either trade him, or if you designate him for assignment, I mean, what the heck, it doesn't matter. They could have. I think they just felt like they'd rather, instead of bringing that type of a guy in, give Andy Ibanez the at-bats. Charlie Culverson's there, to be a utility backup infielder. So I think that's why they went that route. And I think the other reason is, like you said, whether it's this year or not, I think they really believe Josh Young will be in that spot for the next few years. And so they didn't feel the need to give anyone a multi-year deal.
Jared, I received this note from James W. in Frisco. Jared Sandler's father, Alan, is a very dear friend. Now, he wanted me to ask you a couple of questions. How did you get involved with Southern Cal Trojan baseball, and you had to keep knocking on the door, did you not?
Yeah, well, I think that this is Big James Weaver, I think, who's a loyal supporter of the Tottenham Hotspur Football Club and the Dallas Spurs supporters group, which is very near and dear to my heart and my father's heart. But Yeah, I mean, I was like your Rudy, right? Like I wasn't good. I was okay, you know, I was fine in high school, but I was like the little kid who worked hard, and I was the no. I mean, it really was like Rudy. I don't think I drank or currently drink as much as Rudy from everything I've heard. But I think my grade. I think my grades are a little better in the movie Rudy. Like I think he struggled academically. So I don't think I had that challenge, but he was probably more athletic than I was. But yeah, I love being a part of a team. I love competing. I was not blessed with the athletic ability or the height or anything to compete at a super high level, but I was really fortunate that when I went out there, they gave me a chance to still be a part of a team environment. And I wasn't good. I didn't belong, but it was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, my 4 years at USC were at the time, the worst 4 years in USC baseball history over like 4 consecutive years. Now, I will say that 2 years later, I think the 4 years that were my final 2 and the next 2 actually were worse than my 4. So thankfully, but it was a lot of fun, and it's such a storied program. It's unfortunate though how they've struggled so much over the last 2 decades. Yeah. Not that anyone wants me to break down USC baseball, but it was a storied program. It was really cool, and I'll tell you the coolest thing, guys. Tom House was the pitching coach for my first 3 years, and while he was there, he was developing all this. It was called the RDRBI Institute, and I think the name has changed since. But it was a lot of this biomechanical stuff that was so ahead of the time. And we had quarterbacks fly in to go through his biomechanical program to optimize their throwing. And so, guys, I kid you not when I say one day I walked in the clubhouse and Tom Brady was there, and Joe Flacco, after he won the Super Bowl, was in our outfield. Throwing to some random guy who was running routes for him with, all those video game dots on his body so they could get the biomechanical readings and whatnot. And that was really, really cool. I mean, Tim Tebow was out there. Pretty much anyone. Drew Brees. It was a lot of fun to, unfortunately the baseball part sucked, but having Tom House there made it a very A-list celebrity destination. We got to be exposed to some really cool people.
That's awesome. Who's your favorite English Premier League club?
Tottenham.
Yep. Okay, you mentioned that and when you brought up James Weaver. Now, did you see the United States World Cup draw today?
Yeah, so because I love Tottenham, I don't love that England is in the group because, so many of my favorite players for Tottenham are in that group. Like Harry Kane is the greatest player in the world. But I'm excited. Do you guys like soccer? Where do you guys stand on soccer?
Well, we have somebody who's one of our director producers, and Jack McKenzie, huge on it. I do love and I do enjoy the World Cup. I'm not going to act like I'm any aficionado, but I do keep up when it comes around. Each time there's a World Cup. And I've been taught a little bit along the way this year about, I get confused on all these damn leagues. Some of them I don't even know who they are anymore. They seem like they never stop playing. Like there's never an end. There's never end of a season.
I think that's kind of what's impressive about soccer is that you just keep playing. They just keep going. But yeah, I like I'm not dyed in the wool like Jack, but I enjoy it. I've started to enjoy kind of almost their off season, these transfers. Jared, it's kind of like the NBA free agency where you're like, oh, they're going to pay $500 million for this guy. Yep. Interesting.
Yep. No,
it's definitely a different dynamic. But Iran, that should not pose an issue. And then I think it's the winner of Wales, Scotland, Ukraine in the playoff they've got going on. So not a bad draw, but I always prefer when United States and England aren't paired against one another.
Hey, man, you're great at what you're doing. Appreciate it, Jared. Always great to talk to you, buddy. Thanks for your time today.
Thanks so much, guys. Have a great weekend.
Jared Sandler, 105.3 The Fan in Dallas. They have the Rangers games. He does their pre- and post-game. Also is involved in the broadcast with the great Eric Nadel and Matt Hicks, among others as well. A ardent USC fan, and now you know why. And thanks to James Weaver in Frisco for dropping in and giving me a couple of those nuggets.
When we have him on when the seasons overlap, we'll ask him how excited he is about the upcoming USC, as opposed to, like I'm sure he's Colin Cowherd excited, but maybe not as vocal. But the greatest practice ever.
Yeah. All right, we still have one more guest to come a little bit later on. Paul's Top 5 in a little over an hour. Craig's back with us tomorrow. We're going to go back to the chat room here in just a second. We will try to get the lines open for a little bit, about 5:20, maybe even at 5. Art Strickland will discuss some golf with us as we're on the eve of the weekend before the Masters. I have this area on the back deck of where I live, and there's a storage. It looks like a wooden bench, but it's a pretty nice hard plastic storage. And I was going in there the other day just to kind of throw some things away, and I noticed, I've got the flag, the Masters flag. I got to hang that up in front of the condo because it is that time of the year for the Masters at Augusta National. So Art will join us a little bit later on. Armstrong, when we come back as well, we got just a little bit of a sliver here. I want to show that Jordan Spieth, who played really well today, but he sometimes he overmodulates a little bit. And for someone like him, you always thought of him as being precise and much more. He had a really good round going and then did what all of us can relate to. We'll have that in the next segment as well, because he should even be better on the leaderboard than he is. Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Alan Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco. It's a new month. We will have for you very soon new dealer discounts and incentives. And, of course, that will include various vehicles, whether it's Ram or whether it's Jeep or whether it's a part of the Wagoneer series, whatever it is, it will include savings, discount prices, and also cash back, or giving you the opportunity for great APR financing as well. Ted Teague and the staff there do an incredible job. Loop 340 and east of 84. For example, you know the Ram truck, back-to-back Motor Trend Truck of the Year, also honored by J.D. Power. And it's just amazing, the Wagoneer series, which I drove the Wagoneer 2 for like half a day. Went by one morning, picked it up, got in it. It was incredible. Then they let me go inside the Wagoneer 3. Oh, my Lord. Both of them are fantastic. All the amenities are crazy. The newest styles, delivering style, dependability, safety, and so much more to you and your family. Alan Samuels, a new month. So we'll have new incentives and much more to come on Monday of next week. Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
What? Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Three Nations Brewing Company has 16 different beers on draft with a new beer every Friday. It also offers 2 air-conditioned tap rooms, a large indoor beer hall, a second-floor mezzanine offering a great overview of the brewing company and equipment and patio where you can relax under the shade. Plus, you can now experience the new Three Nations Beer Garden Grill on our shaded patio with socially distanced seating for your enjoyment. Grab a cold beer and enjoy a bite from our freshly prepared and delicious menu. Street tacos, quesadillas, freshly cooked burgers and dogs and veggie burgers too. State Fair tornado fries, nachos, and so much more, all prepared and cooked on site. So come visit the award-winning Three Nations Brewing Company on East Vandergrift off I-35 in Carrollton.
Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, family-owned and operated must-visit pizza place in Waco. Fantastic pizza by the slice or get the whole pie to share. Great happy hour specials every single day, and it's not just pizza. Great wings. You have to try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries, pizza pillows, and more. Dine in for a great hangout or carry-out. Order online at shortyspizzashack.com or do yourself a favor and bring your crew to the restaurant at 12th and Bagby. Shorty's Pizza Shack. Tell them Paul sent you by.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The Sikkim 365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
We are on the eve of the Masters. Augusta National next week. It's probably, I know that the week the NCAA tournament begins, to me, the first weekend of college football, the first full weekend of college football, it's hard to beat them. Opening day, Major League Baseball, which is kind of different because it seems like it's so kind of scattered. But the week of the Masters, to me, is as good as it gets. Right now, they're playing down in San Antonio. They were in Austin last week with the Match Play Championship. Scotty Scheffler won it. But Jordan Spieth today, at one point, he was 1 over, got the 4 under, ended up 2 under par, so he's okay. He's in pretty good shape. He's going to make the weekend. The cut's going to be, I don't know where it's going to be. It's going to be at -1, so he's 2 under. So I think this is on number 6. He had about a 2 or 3 foot putt, and I'm going to try to explain this to you. Here we go. So he's on this fairway, bunker, second shot left fairway, hits the green. It's a par 4. He's on the green, and he's putting for a bogey right here, a par right here. Now, it's slick as hell. That course is hard. Now, watch this. Whoop. And you got to be careful even here. He jabbed it. So 3 putts from within probably, I'm going to say, 3 feet. No, you couldn't.
Miss 3 putts like that? Yeah, sorry, I'm dying here. I can miss 3 putts like that.
I don't know if you're going to make it.
Like through the rest of the show like this? Yeah, no, I won't.
Do you need some water? Here, I have germs and everything, but if you need to, this is what I talk about. Okay, don't put your lips on this plastic.
I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't. I think I can go back and zoom in. You'll see that I did not.
So he had 3 putts from I probably within about 3 to 4 feet. You're welcome. That was kind of a delayed, not even you really meant it.
Well, I was happy I didn't die.
You don't need to talk. You don't need to talk because you could. This could be it for you.
Well, I was happy I didn't die. Look, people. Some of our newer listeners don't realize I could have left you for dead in West Texas years ago, and I didn't. Which I think is very big of me.
It's going to haunt me for the rest of my life that you saved my life. It's been told a lot.
I'm just going to bring it up. I mean, like,
I just saved your life with that water.
You did.
My water.
I wasn't nearly as dying as somebody with double pneumonia, but
no one knew that at the time.
Yeah.
Everyone just thought
I did.
I thought I had allergies. One of the golf note, and this is a little bit dark, a little bit concerned. Hideki Matsuyama. Did you see this? Armstrong had to withdraw today from the Texas Open in San Antonio, Valero Texas Open, with a neck injury. He's the defending champion, the Masters champion. And forced to withdraw from the second round with a neck injury. Not real sure exactly what might be of him or what he can do next week. Hideki Matsuyama, who is going to have the Champions Dinner, of course, next week, and then also defend his title at Augusta National next week as well. And speaking of that, we're going to hear in just a moment, next segment, about 10 minutes from now, we're going to hear from Art Strickland, who covers the PGA Tour. There's one other college basketball note we have not brought up. And we would normally have Mike Scarborough on, but Mike's gotten weird on us.
Well, I'm not going to get into all that.
No, we're not going to get it. He's infatuated.
It's fine. I mean, it happens to people.
It's kind of things that people fall into the web.
Yeah.
But having said that, Jeff Borzello, ESPN, Paul showed me this earlier today. Will Wade was fired for cause because of the NCAA violation. Everyone knew they had been cheating, but he kind of was able to fight for himself. He doesn't get fired. He then has a pretty good team. And then, of course, it came off the rails. He gets fired when the latest information comes out. Since LSU fired him, they've had 11 players enter the transfer portal. If they had not received the transfer from Murray State, of which, of course, their head coach is from, McMahon or whatever, would they have?
No, he's the only – I mean, he's not even – they have no players on their roster from this past season. So everything's going to start anew. My question on this is you lose 11 players to the transfer portal, 2 to the NBA draft. So – the 2 to the NBA draft were probably going to the NBA draft no matter what happened. The 11 guys in the transfer portal, of the ones who wouldn't have been in the transfer portal anyway because of a lack of playing time, the guys who actually played and are in the transfer portal, when you committed to LSU, what did you think was going to happen with Will Wade? Like, what was the end game? Like, if you're leaving because Will Wade's not there, and look, maybe Matt McMahon doesn't want any of these guys. Maybe he feels maybe he feels icky about the whole thing because of Will Wade, and that's fine. But I am surprised that there are a couple of guys that are and players get like this, you know, that are taking it back like I can't believe they fired Coach Wade because you like him, but you don't maybe realize all the other stuff that went on. You know, and look, players do get like this. We had one of the only other guy who committed to Baylor the year that Jalen Petrie was the only commit until Matt Rule got hired. We had a guy on the show committed to Baylor, and we asked him why, and he said because of the coaching staff and we all looked at each other like
that was that was very an awkward, dead silence
because you were like, buddy. I mean, like we didn't say anything to him, but like, buddy, you know that like they're all leaving.
Yeah, and everyone else underneath of them was leaving as well. Well, 11 players transfer portal, 2 players to the NBA draft, all 4 players committed in 22 and 23. 0 scholarship players from this past season that were still on the roster. From Jeff Borzello from earlier today. Now, Paul was coughing. Had a problem. May have been it.
Yeah.
So I offered you a little bottle of water.
Yes.
You didn't say thank you right away. It took a while.
Uh-huh.
And TJ says that Paul has never, ever meant a thank you in his life.
Never meant a thank you in his life. Well, TJ and I don't like each other. I mean, we're sworn enemies. So I mean, you can take what he says with a grain of salt.
Grain of salt?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we're I mean, it's a blood feud at this point.
Yeah,
good
he
dude,
also,
though.
You know, he and I are close, even though he sends me snake videos and snake pictures, direct messages of some awful things that just don't make any sense in life. All right, when we come back, we can wait till after the segment with Art. A couple of baseball notes today. The Dodgers got better. The Mets didn't. And another note or two, we'll get to that. Right, coming up next, Art Strickland, PGA Tour golf writer and columnist. His thoughts about the Masters and right now in San Antonio with that tournament that continues. Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete.
Cars priced right both day and night. Average your car in Texas. Trucks built for you, red, white, and blue. Average your car in Texas. Cars that zoom with lots of room. Average your car in Texas. Count on us, a dealer to trust. Average your car in Waco, Texas.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs. Even offering financing if that's needed, everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
You know what would make this moment better? Pizza. Dough made from scratch and an Italian family sauce recipe pizza. 3 fresh signature cheeses making a melty blanket of perfection pizza. Like loads of premium toppings like crispy Old World pepperoni, savory Italian sausage, and fresh sliced veggies pizza. That's Marco's Pizza. Visit marcos.com and make any moment better. And with 4 locations in Waco, Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to open in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwood Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Baylor Scott and White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. The team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injuries, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott and White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Corral pumps. Pressure again, and they get to him. That was Cole Maxwell.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Tom Albers, staying in touch with you and your money through these difficult and changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Here's David Smoak and Paul Catalina.
All right, this 5 o'clock hour begins, and we mentioned Valero Texas Open. We showed that little 3-jack from Jordan Spieth from very close in. Mentioned Matsuyama had to withdraw from the Valero Texas Open in San Antonio. The Masters, of course, around the corner. Is an incredible week. Art Strickland covers the PGA Tour. Art Strickland joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Art, I fell for it earlier today, hook, line, and stinker, when I saw a tweet that said, Charlie Woods, I want to announce my dad, and I just coughed all over myself with excitement. Now, he was there this week. He was at Augusta National this week. Are you getting any kind of feedback on what, in fact, may have been learned from that trip?
Yeah, I think the main thing to learn from that trip, Smokey, is that Tiger has always said He won't play in an event unless he thinks he can do well. He won't play in an event just to shoot 85 and wave to the crowd and say thanks for coming. And so the fact that he took his jet with his son Charlie, your new Twitter pen pal, and Justin Thomas, his good friend, and all three of them threw to Augusta, tells me he's exhausting all avenues to play. And to be honest with you, I would be surprised at this point if he doesn't play. PGA Tour released the commitment list for Augusta a few minutes ago at 5 o'clock Central Time, and Tiger Woods is on the list from the for Augusta. The only thing is the PGA Tour does not run Augusta, does not control Augusta, and certainly doesn't have any idea of Augusta. And that's what people sometimes fail to understand, is that if Tiger decides to play, he's not taking a spot from someone else. And if anyone drops out, they're not replaced by the next guy on the list. There is no list. You're either in or you're out. Tiger has earned the right to be there anytime he wants to. He's a 5-time champion. And I think we'll see him next week. I really do. I said that on your show back in April after his wreck. Said he'll come back. Saw him at the father-son. Saw the way that he's really doted on his kids. And so I think you will see him back. And I think you'll see Charlie caddying for him at the par 3 on Wednesday.
Do you think we can expect him to make the cut?
Boy, that's a great question. The Masters, because it has its own qualification system, doesn't do any of the money list or top 100 or any of the stuff like that. You can qualify from Augusta for 15 different ways, but it's their, system. So I think that the field is obviously not as strong as some of the other fields just because they don't go off of points or money. They've got their own individual criteria. So I think so. I think if he plays, I'll put it this way, Paul. If he plays and makes it through the first round, doesn't WD, I think he will make the cut. And no one knows for sure. Go out there and play 18 and see what's going to happen. And it's a very difficult walk. Smokey, you've been there before.
Yep.
I've certainly been there many a time. It's very steep. Coming up 18 almost, directly uphill. 9's uphill. 10 is almost downhill. So really difficult, walking course. But no one knows that course better than Tiger Woods, who's playing next week. No one. And he has said himself, my putting, my chipping, my hands are all good. My only problem is walking. And, you guys know that putting and chipping, especially on those diabolical greens, that's who wins the tournament. So I think in Tiger's mind, he's made the decision. I'm going to push through the pain. It will be very painful for him. And I'm going to give it a go and see what happens.
All right, so when his name right now is among those, and we're going to get into some other guys too, but his name is right now among those who is remains scheduled to be played. When he can tease everybody up until what, Thursday morning or what?
Yeah, traditionally the Masters publishes the first round pairings on Tuesday afternoon. So I would think just as a courtesy to Augusta, he would let them know by Tuesday if he's a go or not. I mean, obviously, I think Brandel Chambly said this earlier this week. I think it's 100% true. If Tiger Woods plays next week at Augusta, you could be in the field, play totally nude, and no one would notice. I think that's 100% correct. And so, obviously, who he's paired with will have a huge effect. I hope for the sake of whoever that he's not paired with some 21-year-old, amateur getting his first Masters experience, just hoping to enjoy the week. I hope he's at least paired with someone, maybe a past winner or someone that's been through the whole Tiger phenomenon, because it will be a phenomenon. There's no doubt about that.
So Scottie Scheffler playing well right now. Would he be the favorite to you going in, or who's the favorite?
I think Scottie certainly is a favorite. Another guy I like who's playing really well right now, and has proven he's got the game for Augusta is Dustin Johnson. I think with his power, his touch, he won in the fall a couple years ago when they had to push it back with the pandemic. And he's playing well, played really well the match play, Dale match play. And, as long as he stays off the stairs, about 4 years ago, he came in as the favorite and slipped on some stairs going up in his rented house wearing socks and injured his back, had to pull out. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But I like Dustin Johnson a lot. I like Scotty. I think Scotty's playing great, very low-key, world number one, but really not going to let that affect him. And, a guy who always plays well there, and you've always mentioned him, I think he's already got 5 top 10 finishes, is Jordan Spieth. Some guys just play well at certain courses, and Jordan Spieth has always summoned his best game for Augusta. So, the 3-jack from 2 feet, which is certainly relatable to me, gives me a little pause, but I think Jordan Spieth will be in the mix come next week.
Yeah, and that's something. I mean, he wasn't paying attention, and that of course the undulations. And I will say this, and I know we're talking discussing Augusta National. That course where they play the Valero Texas Open, I believe it's the same course that I played a few years back when the Cowboys were at training camp, and that might be. Not that I've played a lot of great courses, but I've played some hard ones. That might be the hardest golf course I've ever played in my life.
I think you're pretty right, Smokey. I think you were right. I talked to a player who played there about 5 years ago, and I won't give his name because I don't want to embarrass him. But he said every TPC course, and that, of course, is TPC at San Antonio, he said every TPC course has at least 3 redos in them before they're playable. And this may have 4 or 5. So that's just, it is very hard. It's very charmless. It's just not a great golf course, but, they hold crowds and they've got an awesome hotel and they tee it up and play for $1 million. But, next week it's going to be awesome. First time patrons have been there, in 3 years, really. I mean, no fans for the fall tournament. Very few fans, last year. And so this year, full attendance, it's going to be Augusta again. It's going to be awesome. And, like I said, can't wait to have my first egg salad sandwich. Mm-hmm. Truly the hands-down winner over that pimento cheese. And it's going to be a great week.
Joe, go ahead.
What do you've had them both, right?
No, I've had them all. No, I never did. I did not do the pimento cheese. Yeah, that one there. I just never. I've never liked that one. That's the one my mom used to make me eat when she was mad at me, like liver and onions. But all of it. It is amazing. I was on my way back. I don't know what I was doing, but I heard Joe Trahan, Channel 8, who's now the sports director there, has never been to Augusta National, is about to make his first ever trip. And I texted him. I said, you just can't even imagine. And I gave him a couple of tips about making sure they had a chair. Oh, you can get them inside the gate as well or even outside. And I told him,
not bring your cell phone.
Yeah, he's going to be on the practice round Wednesday. But I told him about where to kind of start from the back gate to get over there in the Amen corner, whatever you could. But if no one, and again, it's not easy. Now, tickets are more available than people realize, but you can get them online, I'm sure. You can get them off eBay. I'm sure you can get them from broker. I don't know. Not cheap. Nope.
Not cheap.
Do you know that the first time I ever went, they were probably about $600 or $800 for a 4-day pass, about maybe $1,200 or so, $1,500. And the year that they went back to the first tee shot with the famous names like, I think, Nicklaus, I think Player, and then Palmer, that the cost of that ticket went from, it like tripled that year. And it's never really gone back down, has it? Except maybe the COVID, not the COVID year, whatever year it was.
Yeah, no, it really hadn't. And as you guys know, I have a travel company, the Art of Golf Travel, and we're actually taking 12 guys. We're taking 12 guys this year. A couple guys from Waco, Truett Webster is going, and also Ben March, my uncle, both in Waco, and they're going with me. And it's just the most I've ever paid for tickets. Just really crazy expensive, but either Truett or Ben or some of these other guys have ever been. So going to be a great week. Really great.
So that's the most you've ever paid for tickets? I would think everyone's just glad to be back. Was it full throttle last year with Matsuyama one?
No, it was not. Very small.
Okay.
Maybe, 3,000-4,000 total. And, this is the more wide open Masters. And, of course, they don't give out information on anything. The best guess is that 50,000 for practice rounds, 35,000 for competition, for competition rounds, which is crazy how few people that is compared to the Byron Nelson, Colonial, Texas Open, anything like that. But the other thing is, this whole Augusta has its own way. If there's a rain out, there's no rain check.
No.
You don't get a rain check.
Sorry about you.
I looked at the forecast for Tuesday. Hopefully no one's listening to this. Tuesday practice round tickets, 95% chance of rain on Tuesday.
Yeah. All right, Art. Looking forward to it. We'll definitely be in touch. They still have I'm going to ask you about some of the things that they have that maybe others have, but I know you can't bring your cell phone in, and practice round you can, but do they still have the bank of phones where you can just walk up to them and pick up the phone and call anywhere you want? Yeah,
they still have those because they don't have cell phones and they don't have cell phone cameras, and so they still got the bank of phones. Parking is still free. The funniest thing, Smokey, you probably saw this, when you're driving to the golf course, you see signs and people charge, park here, $20, park here, $10. You think to yourself, that's a heck of a bargain. I can park in those guys' yard for $20 and just walk to the course. I'm in.
Yep.
And you go about a little bit further, there's these huge signs, free patron parking. So you're parking right next to the golf course for free.
Yep.
I mean, it just blows you away.
Yep, it's amazing. And the food, even, there's this one site that I got a card in the mail, reminded me about order golf shirts, the ones that have the logo. And, of course, they jack up the prices, but even the cost of the nice shirts it's incredible. The bang for your buck is incredible. It really is. It really is.
Still $1.50 for a sandwich. It's still $1 for a Coke. I think Master's Moon Pies are maybe 50, 75 cents. It's incredible. And, hey, Smokey, if they charge more for food, if they charge for parking, if they did anything like that, no one would complain.
No.
Because it's the Masters.
It's the Masters. What's your name, man?
But they don't do that, and they could, and they don't, which makes it so unique.
Did
and
you
that's
get your
why
tip?
it's the most popular thing in sports.
Yeah, there's no question. It's incredible. Thank you very much, Art. We'll talk to you next week. We'll set up a day for you. Thank you so much.
All right.
Art
Look
Strickland.
forward to talking to you from Augusta.
Art Strickland, Baylor, great. And PGA Tour writer, columnist covering. It's the Valero Texas Open right now, but next week it's the Masters. Paul, we got to get our together. We got to do our promo. We got to get our teams. Armstrong is our friend even allowed to be on a show anymore?
Rob,
man,
Bolton. Yeah, I'll
get Rob set up on. Well, Wednesday's our second anniversary. I don't know. I don't even know who we have yet on that day. Working on that. I'm
going to try and set him up for Tuesday, but he might. I don't know if this is a.
Well, I mean, if he wants to come in on Wednesday and act like it's a part of his anniversary too, that's fine.
I mean, he's been a big part of it. And
he has been.
He's won a bunch of these things as he should because he does that for a living.
Yeah.
So here's what I'll tell you. When we do a fantasy golf draft with a fantasy golf expert, he wins most of the time. So the one that we bring on the show is good. He's only lost to us a few times.
No, he's been on a run against us. There's no question.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. From Mike. Paul has never. Oh, that was from TJ. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Andrew Baker was talking to TJ. Those two talk?
Oh, man, that's weird. Those guys are different. I'll tell you that. Other than their love for the Longhorns, those two dudes are different. I talked to Andrew the other day.
Andrew called me. He must have been driving through town. I did not answer because I don't have an hour.
You know why he called? Because he was stuck in traffic and trying to figure out a way around. And I told him, I said, where are you past? Are you past where we used to work at the radio station? He says, yes. Well, I hate to break it to you, buddy, but you're in it. Like,
Wait a minute, he was on his way north?
Yeah, he was on his way north. And he was stuck in traffic. And he was already.
Because if you're headed south,
he was already past the loop. Yeah. So it was like, well, man, I don't know. I mean, anywhere you get out, you're going to kind of You're kind of in it. You kind of have to just accept your fate.
All right, Armstrong, I want to run Keontae George again. Can we do that? Not now, but in the next segment. Paul, you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine.
He lost today. IMG lost. Academy lost to Mount Verde Academy or whatever they're called. But Prep, we're going to run Keontae George, who had a big game today for IMG Academy in the next segment.
I would also like to point out that last year I won our challenge with the Masters.
The Masters, you did.
Everyone else got eliminated, and that's the only reason I won.
You know, I think that is a very there's no event in sport that's more grueling than our rules about winning.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
picking a golf tournament.
You
There's
can't have
no exceptions.
One golfer, you don't get one. You know, look, in the one that I do with my friends, you get a golfer that, you know, you can have, if you guys miss the cut, it's fine. They still take the top 5. You know, we draft 7 golfers. So you still take the top 5, or maybe it's 6, but take the top 4. So,
how many do you draft? Like 8 guys or something?
I mean, it's a long draft. It's a team draft, so you can drop off some of the end. One year, I won the U.S. Open because all of my guys made the cut, and I had the winner and 3 of the rest of the top 5.
Oh, really?
That was the best one I ever had.
We have a rule. You pick 4 guys. Yeah. If any of your 4 miss the cut, you're done. Yeah, you could have the top 1, 2, and 3 that finish the tournament. Oh, it is the most stringent.
I've had the winner several times in our thing, and
no, you didn't.
Last year.
No, I've had the winner on my team.
Doesn't count. Can't use the word.
Doesn't
Not allowed
matter.
to use the word.
Yeah.
Well, last year, Paul had a lower overall score than me, so he had a better score than I did.
But
Daniel Berger, his guy,
Florida State's Daniel Berger. From Jack Huffman, I've tried to drink Shiner out of business, but just doesn't seem to work. That's in response to somebody that said I should buy you a Shiner beer if it's still in existence. Oh, it's very much.
Yeah.
My golf game is at its best with a low ceiling and wee bit of rain. Let's see. From Chris, Shiner was the top beer when I was in San Antonio, stationed there in 94, 5, and 6. I can't believe that almost 30 years ago. Man, time flies as you get older. No kidding.
Well, yeah, it's not
time
only
flies whether you're older or not. Let me tell you that.
It's not only it's still in existence, it's thriving as there's like 30 different kinds of Shiner you can get now. Emory probably had all 30, I would think. But yeah, I mean,
Shiner had a hell of a football team, too. They've always had a great football team, and, of course, with the Brooks brothers, they won it all. Let's see. From Jack, sometimes, this is from Jack Huffman, by the way. However, sometimes golf gets in the way of Shiner puck time. Chris, I tried golf once. I am just not a golf guy. You are, you're not, but people love the sport. I'll tell you another sport that's exploded, disc golf. Because it's less expensive, and there's a course along the Brazos River here in Waco that hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people were here just about a month ago or so, and it was not just one day. It was over 3 or 4 days and loaded up the city of Waco. All right, when we come back, a couple of baseball notes a little bit later in the show. Paul's top 5 on the Final Four. But coming up next, Keontae George, who's already signed with Baylor, part of IMG Academy, as now Baylor's season, of course, has been over for a couple of weeks. Looking to the future, this young man is a stud, a great shooter, a scorer, but he can do more than that. And he's next on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. PettyClinicLowT.com. Dr. Kent Petty can help you become the high-performance man that you want to be. How does he find out? How do you do that? How does he help you? How can he help you? Go to his website, PettyClinicLowT.com, top left-hand corner, email and phone number. Call the office. Tell him I sent you. 1 out of every 3 men have symptomatic issues of low testosterone. Low testosterone creates a lot of things, including, energy, helping you sleep better, and your sex drive. So when it drops, when your testosterone levels start to drop, part of Father Time, you can lose any of those things that used to be okay. You sleep better, now you don't. Energy used to be great, now it's not. Sex drive was okay, maybe good. Now it's not. That could be a low testosterone issue. Dr. Petty will set you up to get lab results, get your blood, get your test results. And by the way, that fee is free. And then check your results. And if your testosterone levels are too low, put you in a program to help you increase your testosterone levels so you can be the high-performance man you want to be. You hear a lot about the sex drive and ED and all that. It's not just that. It could be your energy and sleep habits as well. at pettycliniclowt.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Jeep Celebration is going on now at Allen Samuels. Come see the newest Grand Cherokee, the new 2022 available in a 2-row or a family favorite, the 3-row Model L. Jeep re-engineered for the future. The Grand Cherokee is ready for the next great adventure. Are you? Find legendary power and confidence, along with head-turning style, is what Grand Cherokee is. First responders get a $500 discount. Shop Allen Samuels, DCJ.com, or come in and see our huge selection of brand new cars and trucks.
Come by. Let's be friends.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
The Sikkim 365 Radio app is sponsored by Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco, your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
We're now joined by Baylor signee Keontae George, McDonald's All-American, Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports. How do you have the energy to play in all of these events? And it seems like every time you play, you're the same player day in and day out.
Just take care of my body. Doing a lot of stretching, getting in anywhere I can do. So, just trying to keep my body fresh, getting up proper sleep. Just doing the necessary things I can so I can play the same, each and every night.
You were a part of the McDonald's event. You won the three-point shooting contest. Obviously, then you were in the game and had a nice game as well. And all of it's going on. What was that event like? Also to go against that kind of competition, which, of course, is what you're used to. But kind of explain how much fun you had and just the event itself.
I definitely had a lot of fun. It's a lot of history behind that event. They had a lot of guys come through it. I just, it was a blessing to be a part of that event. I had a lot of fun competing against, the top guys, the top 24 guys. So, just each and every day, just bringing my all, in the practices and the game. And then just most of all, just having a lot of fun with those guys, off the court, getting to know a lot of them. Every time we played each other, we just trying to compete, trying to, beat each other. So, it was overall, I just had a very good time.
That's awesome. And then you won the three-point shooting contest. You put up a number, and then there were a couple of people coming after you. What was that like to watch the end of that and then know you won it?
I was actually Grady was the last person to shoot, and then, he missed a couple of shots. It was me and my teammate, just walking. We just watched. We just hopefully he was missing because he was a great shooter, and then I ended up, being the highest scorer. And I was just happy to win that.
Keontae, you didn't get here just accidentally. It takes a lot of hard work from time when you were young. When you look back at all of what you did and the love of basketball and the commitment you've put in, what does that now mean when all this starts to pay off?
It means a lot, for sure. I've been be able to bless with this talent. The work I put in each and every day, especially, coming up from middle school to now, I had this book of Wolfhawks. We just believed in it each and every day. So we stay in the gym, and then, I started, getting noticed, and then everybody started to see the work that I put in. I've been able to, take the stuff I put in my workouts, put it in the game, and just all of it was translated.
Did you ever doubt yourself? Was there ever a time when you started to make that rise where you still weren't so sure you belong?
I believe in myself for sure. And then, having like I said, my trainer and my family behind me, it just made me want to work even harder. So it was a lot of guys that were getting, seen, getting ranked. But, it just told me to stay the course. All that just mattered at the end of the day. So I stayed the course, and now I'm here. And, I'm able to go D1, full ride. So just staying the course is really, the main thing that I, wanted to stay true to.
You're having a great run. In fact, you have a game today. You told me about that, and I was talking to Coach Brooks about it. He was like, Alvin said, I don't know how he has the energy to play at that level, game in and game out. How much did it help that Coach Drew, the change in the coaching staff with Coach Tango going to Kansas State, but Alvin?
They all remain intact for sure. He just let me know it's going to be a little coaching change, but it's a great coach there. I knew they was going to bring in somebody good, so I didn't want to, think about anything. I didn't think about leaving at all. Coach Drew, he's a really good coach, but ultimately he's a really good guy. The whole staff is. So, I just know they was going to care for me each and every day on and off the court. So there was no reason for me, to leave that type of situation.
Well, every one of them to a man said, every single one of them talked about your family, talked about your upbringing, and talked about the kind of person that you are. What does that mean to you?
It means a lot to just see, those guys just talk about my character. I try to pride myself in that, not treat everybody with respect. Nobody is hot. I'm not higher than nobody. So, we're all on the same level. So just hear that, those guys talking about my character, it just shows that I've been able to stay true to myself.
How important is it to get on campus this summer? I think that's when you're going to arrive and start building some chemistry with those who are there.
That's very important, getting a head start. Learning the different concepts that they have on offense and on defense. Just ultimately just getting to know the guys, that's there on a deeper level. And then, just getting all the work in I can. But, at the end of the day, I have a goal to make it to the highest level. So, I'm just, stay true to the grind like I always have. It's got to be there, so I'm not going to stop.
Do you get a chance to communicate with Adam Flagler or LJ or others on the team very much?
I talk to them every now and then. I mostly talk to, Jeremy, talk to Langston a lot. So, I just try to keep in touch with some of those guys for sure. It's just, after the loss, I just, told them, I feel their pain. I felt the pain as well. So it was really important for me to stay in touch with those guys for sure.
You can shoot it. You can put it up. You can handle the ball. James Akinjo yesterday announced that he was going to enter the NBA draft, and he was the point guard, and he also was a scorer for them as well. Is that something that is even something that you're interested in being? Are you more comfortable being the two guard? Do you want to play a little point guard? Has that even been brought up at all?
I definitely, want to play a little bit of one, bring the ball up. James, he was a great player. He's able to get his teammates involved, but also, score the ball. And then, as for myself, I'm known to score, but I feel like, my passing ability is a little bit underrated. So I definitely feel like I can make great decisions, at the point guard, get my teammates a spot. At the end of the day, I want to, feed all the love. I think I heard Coach D say, share the sugar, as he says. So I just feel like, I'm able to be that type of player that's able to, move the ball, get my teammates in spots, pass up good shots, great shots for sure.
McDonald's All-American, McDonald's event, Jordan Brand, all of this. How do you stay humble?
I mean, there's knowing, where I came from. I wasn't known at first, and then, getting all, these accolades is a blessing, but at the same time, I just want to stay true to myself, just know what got me here, not try to change, anything that I've been doing, because it's got me to, it's got me to my highest level so far. So I just want to stay true to myself, stay true to the grind. And then I have a lot of people in my ear telling me that, nobody cares, you can do more. So, that just keeps pushing me each and every day.
And guess what? They want you on campus now. I mean, I know you got to wait. You got things to do. It's exciting to get Baylor back to where they want to be. Is that exciting to think about the future?
It's real exciting. I've been ready to get on campus. They have a championship culture there. I just want to keep that going. Add on to that. I definitely want to bring another championship back to Waco for sure.
Keontae, thanks for your time. Good luck today with your game, and also going forward. Look forward to meeting you.
All right, thank you.
Keontae George, Baylor signee, Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports.
1, 2.
I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. He keeps me coming back. Cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy, last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's tasty oak smoked barbecue.
Next in line.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
When we moved to Texas, we were like fish out of water. We didn't know anyone in our neighborhood until our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent came to the house. She was so helpful and reassuring, a friendly face with that Texan hospitality I'd heard about. When we purchased a Texas Farm Bureau insurance policy, we knew we were making the right choice. We knew our family would be protected.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Offset with Smith in the backfield on 2nd and goal. And instead, they come around with the tight end. Ben Sims takes it in.
This segment on Baylor Athletics on Sikkim 365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. Learn more at richardcarr.com. Here's David Smoak and Paul Catalina.
All right, we just had Keontae George, Paul's top 5 in a moment. The chat room's all over the place. Jack and Chris are dominating the conversation on things in El Paso now. Now, from Jacob deGrom, as good a pitcher as there is in baseball, but he's not been healthy lately. And, I mean, he was going to possibly flirt with Bob Gibson's earned run average record.
When you throw as hard as he does, though, and he's a spindly dude, but, I mean, it happens to guys of all. I mean, this is how it is. I
don't know if he would have gotten to Gibson's 1.12 and 68, whatever, but he was at 1.08 ERA, 15 outings a year ago, 7-2. Elbow injury sidelined him for the entire second half of the season. Came back to camp healthy. 1 run over 5 innings. Struck out 10. But all of a sudden, set to undergo an MRI on his right shoulder. Will not make his scheduled spring training. And now apparently there could be a stress fracture issue.
Yeah, stress. They call it a stress reaction, as if that's going to make you feel better.
I just now realized Buck Showalter's the manager of the Mets.
Yeah, that's a bad idea.
Timing for, of course, it's a week away from the start. He was supposed to start the opener. This is a guy that's been dominant. It's so sad, pitchers and the injuries that you may have.
Yeah, I'm sure Buck will motivate him to get back.
Craig
I
Kimbrell.
say that sarcastically.
Craig Kimbrell traded from the White Sox to the Dodgers.
That's it. And look, it's a good deal for both teams in that the White Sox didn't want to keep Kimbrell at the salary he had, and so it's a 1-for-1 cash swap. AJ Pollock, a good player for the Dodgers, but they're so loaded they can do that and get a closer to replace Kenley Jansen, who's in Atlanta now, and Craig Kimbrell, also who started with Atlanta, gets to go hang out with his buddy Freddie Freeman and help out the Dodgers team that's loaded. AJ Pollock was in. It's a crowded situation there. And he goes to the White Sox, a team that also their lineup. I like the White Sox to possibly run away with the Central this year, although a lot of people are bullish on the Tigers in a young team, but I think the White Sox could maybe even run away with that Central this year.
What would you say the Rangers over-under for wins would be?
88.
What?
Yeah.
88?
I think they'll be over. I think but that
have
lineup
you started
the
weekend early?
No, I think they'll be over 500.
Really?
Yeah, I think they will.
See, it's been so long, I'm like nervous to think that way.
They've got good play. I mean, look, you add Seager and Simeon, as long as those guys are in that lineup together, that's going to, like Jared Sandler said, make everybody better. Adolis Garcia is still there, who had a really good last year. If he can come close to repeating that, that's 3 good hitters in that lineup. Mitch Garver, who they brought over from the
Twins,
in the Kiner Falefa trade. He appears to be steady behind the plate and good in a good enough. I mean, he's 256 last year as a catcher, which is like hitting 305 if you're a left fielder. So, yeah, I mean, I think that they've got enough protection in the lineup. Their pitching is not going to get anybody really excited past John Gray, probably, but they've got some young guys. So I think they can. I think they can be. I don't think they're going to be in the race in the AL West. Although the AL West isn't that great. I mean, the Angels are still going to be the Angels. I mean, they've got the 2 best players in the whole American League, and they're still kind of meh.
You know what the highest
Mariners might be
for wins in a season by Vegas?
Astros will be pretty good.
You tell me, who has over-under, this is by DraftKings, Major League win totals for the 2022 season.
Well,
Which
Dodgers?
American League team first?
The Blue Jays.
Blue Jays 92.5.
Yeah, Blue Jays, yeah. I would say so. They're going to be
And
really
then
good.
3 teams at 91.5. White Sox, who you mentioned, Astros, and then also the Yankees. So the Rangers would be right. The Rangers are 74.5 right here.
I'll take the over on that.
Okay.
I'll take the over.
Now-
I'll put him at, look, 88 might be a little industrious, but I'll take him at 500 and a little better.
Dodgers 97.5. Next team in the National League, Braves and the Mets 90.5. And you wonder if the Mets now, because of DeGrom.
I'll knock down the Mets until, because you think about Scherzer, DeGrom, 1-2 punch there. That's pretty salty, but I don't. Now with DeGrom not being there, that's gonna change a lot of things.
He's really, really good. I love seeing records, bro. I don't like to see them like just crushed like they were with the home run records, but I'm not against seeing records broken. It's kind of nice to be around when you see Henry Aaron hit his 715th home run to break Babe Ruth's record, as much as some people wanted to run away and hide. I love seeing when I was live with Denny McClain won 31 games in 1968. Bob Gibson 1.12 earned run average. The mound was raced. I don't mind seeing records broken. I don't know if I'll ever see anyone hit 400 because I wasn't around when Williams did. And I know Tony Gwynn made a run at it. I know that
Larry Walker got
Boggs made a run at it.
Yeah,
Walker.
Larry Walker in the strike year, remember, was really going at it. So, yeah, Todd Helton had a good year where I think he wound up hitting in the 380s. But I'm surprised. Ichiro, I think, had a good run at it for a little bit where you thought, okay. But even then, if a guy is hitting that well, eventually his average is going to dip because they're going to find ways to pitch around him.
Right.
No offense to Ted Williams, he hit 400, who's the greatest hitter ever. But if the video capabilities existed back when he hit 400, it probably wouldn't have hit 400 because they would have, there would have been a coaches assigned to find out what pitches we throw to him.
Yep.
Nobody handed it like a digital scouting report to any pitchers facing you guys. Go, hey, if you just throw 7 sliders at him, there's no way he's gonna put the ball in any kind of decent part of the field. You just kind of had to trust your scouts and their notes.
Yeah, I wonder how quickly there were scouts, advanced scouts, and all that. Now you have everything at your fingertips. By the way, Kansas and Duke are both 4-point favorites to win this weekend. Both of them are 4-point favorites. The game with Kansas Villanova, much more low scoring, over under 134. Duke and North Carolina at 151.
Oh, I think Villanova. I think they're going. I've maintained the whole time. I think Kansas is the most complete team in this when it comes to both phases of the game. Defensively, offensively, they can do it all. And Remy Martin changes them a great deal. But I do think Villanova is going to keep them, kind of between the white line, so to speak, when it comes to running like they did against Miami. They're not going to really be able to do that as much, but they still can, and they still will, and they still probably will, I think, win the game. But it's going to be a lot tougher because of that defense that Jay Wright plays.
All right, going back to the 400 hitter. Tony Gwynn hit 394 in 1994. Brett, 1980, hit 390. Just had somebody on the chat mention that. Rod Carew, 388 in 1977. And these guys are as good a contact hitters as you could imagine. And then after that, there's a long drought. Down to 381 right now. So obviously Ted Williams, the last to hit 400, and that was what year was that when he hit 400? 41. So modern day baseball, I'm talking modern day after he's broken it. Tony Gwynn in 94. George Brett in 1980. Carew in 1977. And nobody has sniffed since then, even with Walker or anyone else. Not Boggs, nobody. And that's the top 50 hitters of all time, single season, 381 and better is where you have to start.
Yeah, I always thought if it was going to be a guy, somebody was going to do it in modern day baseball, it would have been Ichiro because he could hit a really.
He also had speed.
He had a chopper to third, and then you're looking at it. I mean, there are many times that you saw. I'll tie it back to a Buck Showalter story. I've seen Buck Showalter get thrown out of 2 games, and it was because of plays in person. It was because of plays at first base. One of them was a chopper to third that Ichiro beat out, and I don't know why he's arguing that. It happened all the time. And then another one was a chopper to third that Michael Young very clearly beat out, and had replay existed, it would have very much overturned the call. And I have not heard obscenities called to a human being come out of Buck's mouth, and that was the year he was about to get the cut from the Rangers, so he was kind of feeling the pressure. Michael Young legged at that thing. He got called out. Showalter's in the 9th inning came out, and there were like a group of little kids sitting in front of me that learned a lot of new words. Yeah. A lot of them.
By the way, the ones I mentioned, Gwynn, Brad, and Carew was not fast. He was decent speed.
Tony Gwynn was deceptively fast for a chunker, but
not a guy that you could see beat out too many infields. No. Brett was a hustler, but not known as being fast. And then Boggs was surely not fast.
No, but
Ichiro had some ability to run.
Boggs and Gwynn were very similar hitters in that they just knew where they were hitting where they ain't hitters.
They could hit 400 now the way you have the shift. Those guys would hit 400 now.
I'll tell you right now, well, the shift is about to be illegal, as you know. But if you had tried to run the shift on Wade Boggs or Tony Gwynn, they would have just hit the ball to third base and been like, all right.
One other quick baseball note, then come back with Paul's top 5. Umpires now will be equipped with on-field microphones to inform the crowd and TV audience of replay reviews, beginning with exhibition games coming up this weekend. Major League Baseball announces crew chiefs will wear a microphone via a belt pack. They better turn it off. They'll announce who is making the challenge, who is being challenged, and I think that's pretty good to be kind of clarify that. A.J. Hinch, the manager of the Tigers, I think opening up communication with fans is a step in the right direction. Mainstream very fast. He indicated several umpires that expressed nervousness about speaking publicly in that manner since it's never been part of the job. And they'll get used to it. It's like anything else. And so I don't know if are they going to use this during the regular season. I don't know that. I'm not sure, but that's a little bit different as well. When we come back, Paul Catalina's top 5 to wrap up April 1st. And we have told you everything for the last 2 hours and 55 minutes. There has not yet been an April Fool's joke. At least not yet. Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street in Waco is a hidden gem. They've got a great selection of spirits, wine, and the most extensive selection of craft beer in Waco in their gorgeous walk-in fridge. And they have an amazing array of high-end bourbons like Pinhook, Weller, Buffalo Trace, Brush Creek, Hotel, Garrison Brothers, Thomas S. Moore, Hooten Young, and Bardstown. Great customer service and a convenient and speedy drive-through window. Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
It's plain and simple. Waco Custom Marketplace is the one-stop shop for what you need for tailgating, from charcoal, cold beer, and wine. And, of course, customize your order with brisket, tri-tip, sausage, wings, smoked pork tenderloin, country-style or pork spare ribs, marinated beef and chicken fajita meat, ground beef and chili, meat, hot dogs, and burgers, buns, seasoning, sauces, chips. There's fresh baked bread and kolaches every day, breakfast sausage links. And you can also customize your favorite cut of steaks from Select, Choice, or Prime, bacon wrap fillets, ribeyes, New York strip, sirloin, T-bone, and porterhouse. Full service butcher shop includes pork, poultry, beef, chicken, and seafood, serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Brad Boozer, Boozer's Jeweler, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. I've seen people walk in there. First of all, you have so much to show. Necklaces, bracelets, rings. You have the watches. You have numerous great watches as well. You really have pretty much everything, don't you, when it comes to jewelry?
That's correct. Kind of a one-stop shop and all. And the fact that we have the 2 jewelers on staff, the repairs we can do, the fixing of your jewelry, and the remaking of any jewelry has really set us apart from anybody else.
You want to know why they're successful? Brad Boozer, the owner of Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air in Waco.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55, presented by Champion Salon and Barber. To book your appointment, go to championsalonandbarber.com.
Not only am I a frequent Champions customer, but Jack is gone. Armstrong and I have the same barber. We have Cameron. He's great. It's fantastic. And there's great, I mean, it's not just him, but everybody there is good in 2 locations. And one downtown, one in Woodway. Armstrong, I'm going to need your input on some of these, especially this 5th one here. But these are top 5 conundrums about the Final Four. And these are mostly me, but maybe some other fans have them. Number 5, why don't I like Brady Manick? I don't know why I don't like him. I mean, I guess... the game I saw him in person, he got ejected for throwing an elbow. But normally it doesn't bother me. I didn't have a problem with Bill Lambier, and that's what he did. But there's something about Brady Manick that I don't like.
Well, he looks like a crazy man.
Maybe it is. I don't know. What do you think it is, Armstrong?
I wouldn't like him if he wasn't for North Carolina. I think he's just too animated. People just don't
Maybe
like
that's what
players who are super animated because then it stirs up some emotions.
Have you seen his facial changes or his hair changes since he was a freshman at Oklahoma? Yeah. He was a pretty good player at OU.
Yeah,
that's a nice transfer for North Carolina. I don't mind him. I mean, I know that Baylor fans got a little fed up with him, but he's R.J. Davis was good. Baycott was okay. Manick won that game for them, and then almost lost it too. Yeah. His presence was keeping them, blowing them out, and his absence was what turned the game around. Number 4, should we be sad there's no Cinderella? No, because there's usually not.
Yeah. But I mean, I think maybe a lot of fans might be feeling a little sad because St. Peter's, if you're one of these people who's like, I just want to see a double-digit seed win this thing, I really want it. St. Peter's got as close as anyone has ever had into doing that and then didn't, because they ran up against North Carolina, who has completely reinvented themselves of the second half of the season.
There haven't been many double-digit seeds. St. Peter's obviously was one of them. LSU was the first. And I remember that was kind of a gritty team. They were 11 seed. George Mason, Virginia Commonwealth. Syracuse was a 10 seed. Loyola Chicago 4 years ago. And UCLA last year.
Yeah.
They were a play-in team.
Yeah, but it's hard to, UCLA, you feel like, but again, it's UCLA.
No, but that was a hell of a story because they were a first 4 in. But Loyola Chicago, Cinderella, Syracuse, no. Virginia Commonwealth there aren't many.
Yeah.
St. Peter's had their run. How about the entire team showed up?
For Shaheen Holloway's press conference.
For Shaheen Holloway's press conference at Seton Hall. That was pretty cool.
Also shows you how small the state of New Jersey is.
Yeah, that's true.
Not that big of a problem for them to go. Number 3, which blue blood should you pull for? I mean, if you're a fan, like, who do you... look, I know in my house, there's only one acceptable answer to this question. So I have to recuse myself because I'm cheering for Kansas. And I say that, and normally, if I don't have a dog in the hunt, I don't have a dog in the hunt. But I have a dog in the hunt. It's my personal happiness.
You know, I don't care who wins. I guess I'm going to go against the anti of all and say I'd love to see Jay Wright and Villanova win. I like him. I like him a lot. I like that program. They're a new up-and-coming type, blue blood, like trying to get to that point. They won it back with Rolly Massimino in 85. But I don't care if Duke wins it or Carolina. I'm not going to have like, oh, my God, I can't. It's not going to make me have heartburn. For Armstrong's sake, he's going to the game tomorrow night. I wish you the best.
Thank you. There are 3 of those teams that I would be so happy to see win this. Yeah.
It almost looks like it spells the word dove or something like that.
It actually does, yeah. But I think besides North Carolina, my second team I would want is Kansas.
Here's what I'm going to test some people's. I'm going to test some people's hypocrisy here. When Baylor was playing for the national championship, you saw a lot of fans. Hey, you should want it because of the Big 12. Baylor fan. All right. How many Baylor fans or how many Big 12 fans want Kansas? In basketball terms, you're probably a little bit like worn out with that. If they win it, great for the Big.
I'll tell you,
if we really want the Big 12 to be better, then we all need to start. Again, Alabama does not want Auburn women. I get that, but hey, Kansas wins it, they win it.
There's only one school that could be in the Final Four of the Big 12 that I would root against, and I think we all know that's Texas. But anybody else, I'd be fine with. Then I'd be fine. I'm totally fine.
I'd be great with that.
But I before I started dating Amanda, I liked Bill Self. I always thought he was,
I know there's a lot of people that
he's
like
a super chill dude.
Anyone coming from a completely Baylor biased perspective should cheer for Kansas because a team you play twice a year, probably 3 times a year, being the reigning national champion, just adding to the resume, that only lifts you up.
Back-to-back Big 12 teams have win the national championship if that happens. But I guarantee you, there are some, because of jealousy, even though Baylor's the reigning champion, and because of you're just worn out with Kansas, that won't be because of that. And so, if they win it, good for them. And God, good for you.
Yes. Yeah.
And Woodrow.
They don't.
Yeah. They don't.
Right.
Look, if Villanova wins, I might have to take her on like an immediate vacation, like where I just take her.
Why would you want to go anywhere where she can bury you?
Well, I mean, that way I can protect myself.
On a vacation.
I mean, if I do something nice, then I'm okay. Maybe I can put her next to Jay Wright.
I think by you offering a vacation if they lose is almost like insulting. Oh, you're going to fool me because I'm in a bad mood?
Well, you know what? And here's the thing. That you're probably right because she's going to watch this and go, well, we should take one if they win then.
There you go.
Yeah. She was very upset that we couldn't go. Very upset.
Did you try?
I tried.
$1,500 a ticket?
It was just too steep.
$5,000 a ticket.
It was just too steep. I mean, even
Armstrong, can you share how much yours was, or is that against
how much my ticket was?
Yeah.
I actually have no idea.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So
what would have been too much?
Well, it's not that. It's it's going and staying through the weekend at a hotel, which, I tried to get a credential so that, so I could cover it for us too.
That's against the rules.
No, I mean, I was going to get a credential and cover it for us, but I mean, we were out of that a long time ago where we would even been in the, the circle.
Sleep in the car.
I should have sold my ticket and then it would have paid for my college.
There you go. Yeah, you probably could. I think with those teams who were there this weekend, and it's in New Orleans, and the beautiful weather, and everything's kind of opened up, you probably could.
Yeah. Number 2, does the college basketball world owe the ACC an apology? We asked Terrence Oglesby this on Monday, and he said no.
He played at Clemson, covers the ACC.
He said no, but I do think that. I mean, maybe sometimes we get to, this conference is bad this year. Well, does it matter until you start the tournament? It only really matters how good you are in these 3 weeks.
Listen, a team can be average or so and get hot, win the championship, and that isn't, the regular season doesn't matter. But when you measure conferences, it can't just be over a 3-week run. Well, now, again, they had a hell of a run. And maybe a surprising run if you think about it. Now what happens is Duke and North Carolina are actually performing to where they should have been. Mm-hmm. So they underachieved during the regular season. Yeah. Although Duke has won 32 games.
Yeah. And number 1, should we want Coach K to win it?
Ooh, this is a
polarizing question here. And I can tell you, I mean, as a person who was an ACC alum, no, I don't want Coach K to win.
No, you weren't. When they were Florida State was in the ACC at the time?
When I was at school, yeah.
Well, they were in the ACC. I thought they were independent.
No, we were in the ACC.
Oh, no wonder you got all the favorable calls against Nebraska in '93.
Well, that was their first year in the ACC, I think. Or 90,
there you go,
92,
because of that.
But yeah, they were in the ACC, and so I don't know. I mean, I've booed him too much in person as a student to where I could just turn around and like him now.
He's one of those that when I was young, when
I
he was younger,
dislike him personally, but
he took over a program that used to be the cute and cuddly.
Yeah.
They used to be they're so cute, Duke. Then they beat UNLV when they were unbeaten, went on to win the national championship. Then they became the evil empire. And there's a lot of people that just don't like Duke because they're snotty and arrogant. At least there's a perception. That doesn't mean that's true.
Tell you, 19-year-old Paul said some really rude things to Steve Wojciechowski.
So
really rude.
There are certain schools that get kind of that, that perception. And he became the evil empire. But you know what? I got to say this, whether you like him or not, the son of a gun's in the Final Four, had no idea they were going to be there. He has a team that probably underachieved a little bit towards the end. The loss to North Carolina woke him up. North Carolina, if Duke wins the national title, blame it on the Tar Heels.
That's actually
because they blank slapped him into reality.
That's actually very true.
It's very true. All right, Paul.
If you like joy, you should not want Coach K to win.
If he wins
if you like things that are good and happy, you should want Coach K to lose.
Look, Armstrong.
Yeah, but there's a lot of things that aren't good and happy anymore. Yeah,
as a person who is
look at that picture.
Very petty when it comes to sports fans or sports teams that I don't like, I can support you in this, buddy. I can allow your pettiness. Because I can out petty you.
It's a completely. There is in no way am I even remotely trying to be unbiased or have journalistic integrity.
You don't have to. When it comes to fandom, the journalistic integrity goes out the window.
Yeah. Okay.
I just wish that one day, while I still am in journalism or in broadcasting, that any team that I like puts me in a position to maybe cross that line. Because right now, I never have to worry about that. Because my teams all suck. All right, Paul, very well done.
Nebraska. Here's the thing. Nebraska's the best one.
Do you know that there was some sort of a site?
I mean, it's tough.
Exactly. There was a site that put up the top 130 combination of men's basketball and football rankings. They were 125th.
Ugh.
Their basketball team was worse than that god-awful 3-9 football team. That says it all. All right, for Paul Catalina, Craig's back on Monday. Emery Winter, thank you. Jack McKenzie left a little bit earlier. Armstrong, and please drive safely and be smart. Good luck to your Tar Heels this weekend. I'm David Smoak. Thanks to our amazing sponsors. We're coming up on year number 2 anniversary of this show on April the 6th of 2020. That's next Wednesday. Enjoy the Final Four. The Masters next week. It's going to be fun. Can't wait to see you again Monday. Have a great weekend. Good night, Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.